Peace, peace, peace. What it is Brother Tavon Sueno, aka the Orthodox Moor, aka the Seven Pillar Saracen, doing another edition of Speakers Corner USA, where I address a conversation I had with a good atheist brother of mine named Why So Religious about this whole issue about Ali Dawah once again talking about 9-year-old girls can be adults and be of a marriageable age, etc., whatnot. I was on a channel. Let me see the proper name of the channel because my man got a couple names. My man Valley Vision, you know what I'm saying? This is his backup channel that we were on, Valley Vision G Block Wave Station. I put the information down below so you can go check out and subscribe to that channel. Also, you can go donate to Brother Vel for the coverage that he gives and whatnot on the topics and whatnot. But yeah, I'm gonna play a video real quick of Brother Why So Religious giving his take on the information and whatnot. And then also he's going to give a small presentation, and then I'm going to give a small presentation in the video or whatnot. And then we get into a pretty good back and forth on the whole thing and whatnot that I think y'all will enjoy. So yeah, stay tuned. Let me know what you think. Let's get it in.
Screen share real quick.
Yeah, go on.
So if you'll let me screen share today's topic about is Ali Dawah scientifically correct about 9 years old? So well, science has an answer and the truth appears to be less clear-cut. The latest research suggests we don't become fully formed adults until we reach our 30s, though as puberty, wisdom teeth, and losing virginity and age varies from person to person. The reason scientists have identified our 30s as the entry point to adulthood is due to the extent of changes, particularly in the brain, that takes place in our late teens and throughout our 20s. For example, neurons continue to develop, connect, and become more refined in our third decade, even if the bulk of change took place in our mid-teens. So, and then we can go over here to The Guardian, and they're posting the same thing. They're using a scientist from Cambridge University who's saying the same thing. So that's to today's so he is not scientifically correct by any means of what science is saying. Now, after that, I'm going to stop this screen share, take that off. And then I would, if I may, I'm going to screen share about Islam's rulings on it, because that was what we were talking about. Like, where is this found in Islam? I believe Right Reaction and Shakara were asking kind of that. I think Shakara even asked for like court cases to show the cultural. If I'm not mistaken, it was hours ago, so I can't remember the exact.
Yeah, he did.
So what I'll screen share here. All right. It should be, if you'll give me a moment to screen share this. Is it on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the Quran, okay? Because Right Reaction was saying find verses in the Quran, and then the Hadiths, and then jurisprudence. So we can do all of that. So let's start here first, that there 33:21. There has certainly been for you in the Messenger of Allah an excellent pattern for anyone who hope is in Allah in the last day. So we'll go to the word for word over here. And as you can see, an excellent example for the word for word breakdown. Now, let's see here. 65:4 of the Quran, right here. So to get into child marriage, okay, 65:4. And those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, if you doubt, then their period is 3 months. That's the iddah. Just so everybody knows, the waiting period after sex of marriage. And and those who have not menstruated. Notice how that's phrased. Those who have not menstruated. Now we can go to the word for word right here, you can see it's still 65-4, and the ones who not menstruated. Not menstruated means they have not menstruated. Now, if we go to Ibn Kathir, okay, who is a huge tafsir, right, from about the 14th century, we can see here, this is the verse in question, and then we go to the next page, and what we have here is women in menopause and those whose menstruation has stopped due to their older age. Her iddah is 3 months instead of 3 monthly cycles for those who menstruate, which is based upon the ayah. The same for the young who have not reached the years of menstruation. So this is saying that even if they haven't menstruated, you can have sex with them, because the iddah is the wait after sex. Now, here's one of the hadiths that proves it right here. Sent down this ayah, those in menopause among your women, the iddah, no doubt 3 months, and those who have no courses, pregnant, their iddah. Ibn Abi Hatim recorded a simpler narration than this one, who said, Allah's messenger, when the ayah in Surah Al-Bukat was revealed describing the iddah of divorce, some people in Al-Madinah said, there are still women whose iddah has not been mentioned in the Quran. There are the young, the old whose menstruation is discontinued, and the pregnant. And this ayah was revealed. So there is a religious background to this. And then we can go to another tafsir over here, Tafsir al-Jalalain, which is earlier than Kathir by a few hundred years, really. And even here he says, those who have not yet menstruated because of their age, their period shall also be 3 months. So the iddah only comes after sexual intercourse. So if we go to Tafsir Ibn Abbas, which is a really huge one, what about the waiting period? Another man asked, what about the waiting period of those who do not have menstruation because they are too young? Because of their young age, their waiting period is 3 months. So this is about divorcing them. So, and I can bring up, let's see here, so that everybody knows where this jurisprudence comes from. The Reliance of the Traveler, the classic manual of Islamic sacred law, okay? Now, this is from the 1300s. Now, what we have here, if anybody wants to know about the schools that allow this, the four Sunni schools of Islamic law, Hanafi, Maliki, Safi, and Hanbali, are identical in approximately 75% of their legal conclusions, while the remaining questions, variances within the single family of explainers of the Holy Quran, and the single families is the four schools. Now, one thing that's very important here is the people that are signing off on this jurisprudence. As you can see here, we have president of the International Institution of Islamic Thought, member of the Islamic Fiqh Academy at Jeddah, and president of the Fiqh Council of North America endorses this. Now, the biggest one right here is Al-Azhar Islamic Research Academy. Okay, this is the seal of Al-Azhar, General Department of Research, Writing, and Translation. And here is the Arabic, if anybody is questioning it. So, you know, and Al-Azhar, for anybody who doesn't know, is the top tier outside of Medina, and some would even say in the whole world, even with Medina, the #1 Islamic institute in the world for learning. Now, as you can see, I'm using the same things here. So this is the marriage part. There's various ones on here, and let's see here. I'm sorry, I just screenshotted quite a bit, but just give me a. So for one, what's funny here is it's not suitable matches for one another. A non-Arab man for an Arab woman. Allah has, because of the hadith, Allah has chosen the Arabs above others. Now that's funny, because from what I was told on his farewell sermon, Muhammad said that everybody is equal. So where did that come from? Now, let me go. I gotta find. Okay, so it is unlawful for a Muslim man to marry, and this is the list of what is unlawful: a Zoroastrian woman, an idol worshiper, an apostate from Islam, or a woman with one parent who is Jewish or Christian while the other is Zoroastrian. Is not valid for a Muslim man to marry any woman, either a Muslim, Jew, Christian, nor is it lawful for a valid Muslim. It is unlawful for the man who has divorced his wife by public Percy, remarry. So none of this has to do with age. So where do we get to age, right? When you go to divorce, okay? When you go to divorce, that's when you start getting into the age right here. A woman's postmarital waiting period, meaning the period in which a woman waits before she may remarry to verify that she is not pregnant or out of mourning of her husband. If the waiting period finishes after once or twice pronounced divorce, the wife is free to marry another man to remarry. So the whole point here is that it's because she's not pregnant or marrying or mourning of her husband. Right now, we're just talking about pregnant. So, wait, where is it? Right here. 9.2. A waiting period is obligatory for a woman divorced after intercourse, whether the husband and the wife are prepubescent, have reached puberty, or one has and the other has not. Okay? So just to dismiss this claim that this is not an Islamic source, I've given jurisprudence, I've given the Quran, I've given hadiths, okay? So, and I've given tafsirs. So this just needs to stop. All this lying.
Wait. White religious, quick question. Are you showing all of this in order to prove that this is what the Muslims are following and therefore this is what's this is what's encouraging them to go and look for underage or child married child brides?
So what this is starting with the Quran, right? And its support of it. And then we moved on to and how Muhammad is the example for people so that they should try to live like him. Now we moved on, and then we moved on to the tafsirs, giving the explanation of the Quran verses about child pregnancy and child sex. And now what I'm showing is that there are institutions. Okay, the greatest institution of teaching sheikhs and muftis around the world who go there and travel to learn what Islam is supposed to be taught to the people that are Muslims. This is what they are endorsing. This is what they are saying is allowable in Islam, and they're giving their reasons for it.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why I wanted Veli on. Firstly, I just wanted to, straight up, if I get, nobody should strike Veli's channel on a court of me. You should just go to my channel and shut it down. That's fine. I'll just start a new one. But do not shut his channel down because I present stuff and I do not try to use any source less than Hassan. And I always try to bring things that can be verifiable.
Okay, you know what? Can I do this? Can I get a Muslim on the panel?
I want to do a link.
Ricky, try it. I beg you.
He waited. Why? He waited all quietly. Waited for man to finish his full presentation. Yeah. So yeah, allow him to break down any points that he feels like he wants to break down.
In other words, no interrupting him while he's speaking, please. Thank you. Go on, Shahid.
Okay, so he wrote, he said a couple of things. Obviously, he was quoting tafsirs, etc., etc. And I think it's to point out that, number one, it's good he picks out these sources, but at the same time, he misses out a lot of information. He will take one side of the story, but he will not take the other side. So let us, because I have books with me. You see, with me, I don't do no internet thingy, rather I just bring the books of myself. So let us bring forth some sources that claim different. So the first point he made was he quoted a Quranic verse about, I think it was at the 5 months verse. I didn't hear completely because my connection's a bit bad. So I'm allowed YSO to speak, but I just wanted to say, could you give the verse out again?
65:4 of the Quran says 3 months, not 5 months.
Okay, thank you.
You man didn't need me on the panel to go through this though, innit? I can listen from YouTube and shit.
Yeah, no, you can listen from YouTube.
Yeah, as long as
you
everyone's
can watch the religious. So you cool now, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just needed you on the panel because I wanted your permission to screen share.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Unless I am the one who did get you a strike on your channel. I wanted to make sure it was okay that I present this.
Yeah,
No,
and
man,
Benny,
you
just
did
as
it.
long
You
as
did it, guys.
everyone
You did it.
respects
You
when
didn't
the
get the
person
distraction.
speaking, then everything should be cool, yeah?
Yeah. I'm listening anyway. So
Uh,
I think for a little bit earlier,
Yeah,
I
no
wasn't
worries,
listening,
buddy,
so
no
I was
worries.
like,
Yeah, no, I see enough instead.
big up.
Alright, so let's go through this again. So he's mentioned the verse, Surah 65, verse 4. I'm gonna read the verse and then obviously I'm gonna quote the tafsir about it. So the verse says, and those who no longer expect menstruation among you women, if you doubt, then the period is 3 months. And also for those who have not menstruated and for those who are pregnant, the term is until they give birth, and whoever fears God, he will make for him his matter ease. So this is the verse that YSO quoted, and obviously he put forth the claim that there is no age according to this verse, and that he a couple of tafsirs to support his claim. Now he hasn't mentioned certain tafsirs, but he do mention an age gap on this verse. So let me get the books out first. So the first reference I'm going to bring out is Tafsir Ibn al-Mundir, who died in 318 AH. So let's bring out his tafsir. 1 second. Okay. If we go to volume 13, page 156, he states that regarding this verse, and let me get the verse back up again so then I can read it with the tafsir. And those who no longer expect menstruation among you women, if you doubt, then the period is 3 months, and also for those who have not menstruation.
Okay, so you just proved my point.
Okay, how did
Those
I
who
prove your
have
point?
not menstruated can be the. Okay, so there is an argument here of a spectrum. Okay, one end of the spectrum is those that have not menstruated, such as, who do not menstruate anymore, such as menopause. The other end of the spectrum is those who have not menstruated, which could go all the way to pre-pubescent.
I didn't read the tafsir. Okay, so I quoted the verse. Now, Ibn al-Mundir in his tafsir, and I quoted the reference for anyone who wants to check. He states that this is the period from the age. So he mentions the age from 18 to 25 and over. So 18 to 25 and over. This is the first reference on that Quranic verse that Waiso pulled up. And to be fair to Waiso, he did pull up certain tafsirs, which, to be honest, I don't deny them, but I'm saying that there's a different point of view. So that's the first reference. Let me get out the second one. In Ta'wilat as-Sunnah by Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. So basically, he is one of the Maturidi scholars. In his book, if you turn to volume 6, page 35, where he quotes this Quranic verse, he states that, and those who no longer expect menstruation among the women, if you doubt, then their period is 3 months, meaning that the age gap between this is from 18 to 25 and over. That's the second reference, and I've given the page number.
May I respond real quick?
I think you gave about 5 references, so allow me to give 5 references.
Okay.
Vice. Okay, no problem, no problem. I like it that we've been respectful today, so that's the second reference. The third reference is, let's see here. actually, you know what? I'll give it 2 references already. So, Vice, if you want, you can respond.
Okay, so
The same way
it
Vice
says
was, let me
18 to
speak, I'll let
25.
you speak. So,
That contradicts what right reactionaries claim was the whole time before, was that people didn't live until the average age of 30, and that this was why it was so necessary. So that's a conflict of reasonings right there. And secondly, I would point out, real quick before you speak, that Muhammad didn't even follow his own rules, because he married Aisha at 6 and then consummated at 9. So if this is what your tafsirs are showing as 18 and older, then Muhammad never even followed what these tafsirs are proclaiming.
Right.
I know Ralph opened his mic, so I'm gonna allow him to
brother, thank you.
this.
No, so yeah, I
Walaikum
don't have that much
salam.
time actually. I've got to leave reasonably soon, but let me just talk with some foundational things, because I'm quite new to Islam and I'm learning. I'm slowly reading more and more every day now. But let me just ask, how are you, man? What's his name again? Vice Religious. How are you doing? Well, dude. So do you understand when you read any text, right? Any text. Let's say I gave you the Iliad, or if I gave you the Bible, or if I gave you A Tale of Two Cities. Do you know what? I don't know what your background is. Do you know what hermeneutics is? Is it discipline?
Continue.
Okay, so hermeneutics is part of philosophy and analysis. That is the methodology and theory of how you interpret any text. You can use hermeneutics and philosophy to interpret the Bible, a story, Cinderella stories, etc. And there's 2 sub-pieces that are fundamental when you approach a text, when you try to interpret it in classical Western analysis, right? One of them is, do you know the difference between exegesis and eisegesis? So in simple English, either you have the reader has a preconceived notion in his head, and then he tries to read into the text to confirm this, or he looks at the text without this, and he tries to take the text outwards and provide context to discover meaning. So one is called reading into the text, where you already have a view, and one is to try to discover meaning out of the text. And in philosophy and literature, lots of critical theory, you use this philosophical methodological approach to read any text. So when you approach the Quran, the Holy Quran, or you approach the Hadiths, the first thing you would have to ask, if you were doing a PhD, let's say you submitted this piece of work to me, I would first have to determine if your methodology is trying to read into the text or read out of the text. Now, my question to you is, do you have a preconceived bias, and therefore do you come to the text with the meaning already in your head, or is it the other way around?
So I am just presenting what is on the page and what the scholars are producing to give their answers. Now, right reaction, you didn't discuss the one thing that I mentioned towards you, which earlier you were stating that one reason that it was okay and acceptable for this child marriage between Muhammad was that the average person didn't live until 30. Now, Wisdom's tafsir, he said 18 through 25 is adulthood. So that would give them on average 5 years, okay, of marriage before their
with the
death.
deepest respect,
So
that's what I asked you.
Do you want to know? But I presented this to you first about your previous claim. And
No,
you went right over it because you didn't want to discuss.
No, I want to discuss
your
it.
30-year-old claim is not valid according to Wisdom's hadith. Wisdom's.
No, but what I want to do by so religious is I actually want to discuss what you brought. I haven't got very long. It shouldn't take very long to do this. But however I wish to discuss it, we know from theory and literature and theory and philosophy, I must, whether I know it or not, have either an approach in hermeneutics to read into a text or read out of it. I haven't begun the reading, and I'm willing to read with you the text. But before we do so, would you be reading into the text? Do you understand the difference, why so religious? So either you take the Bible, or you take a nursery rhyme, or you take the Quran or the Hadiths, and either you're going to use one of those 2 things, even if you don't know you're doing it. So my question simply is, are you reading into the text or out of the text?
I am reading and presenting what is being taught in Islam.
Not my question.
Right reaction. It doesn't matter.
You understand my question?
No, right reaction. It doesn't matter about your question because
it does matter because I'll tell you why it matters because there's no other choice.
Right reaction. Let me explain.
I can help determine which one you are with a quick question.
Position why it doesn't matter your question. Because all I'm doing is presenting what is being taught and allowing the viewership, the audience, to make their decisions, and for wisdom and others to present their evidences that
I understand that. With the deepest respect, I understand what you're doing, but you're
new to me.
no, but I understand what you're doing. I understand what you're doing.
So,
But
as a
whether
librarian,
why should we allow me to?
when you go to
Don't
a
you do this
library,
last time where you
when
kept
go to a
talking over?
library, do you
Okay.
ask the librarian the same question?
I know. No, what
When
I
you
do is,
pull up a book, do
are you going
ask-
to let Rice the Religious? Are you going to do this where you keep asking questions and overrun, or are you going to take turns? I don't mind. You go
Right
first,
reaction.
but don't interrupt me. You
the
go
fact that
first.
It doesn't matter what you're saying because it
Okay,
doesn't apply to me at this point. All I did was bring what is being taught. So I am neutral on this. It doesn't matter my opinion. It matters what they are teaching.
So what I'm trying to do here is help educate you. Like if you're doing a first-year literary criticism class at university, you will be taught this. Now it looks like you don't know what it is. You can't help either being reading in or out of the text. The fact you might not be aware of it is irrelevant. You're still doing it. So my question is, it looks like the answer is you don't know and you're not aware of yourself as the reader in the relationship with the text. Am I correct?
None of this has anything to do with my.
Why can't you answer my questions in simple English?
Because it doesn't matter to me, Ralph.
It doesn't matter to you, but it matters to the audience. Remember, you talked about the audience. I want the audience to listen to my words.
If it does
So
matter,
to the audience, then to my audience, I can see that why so religious, for example, is unaware that the reader or writer of a text is in a process in hermeneutics of reading in out. So let's ask of him a few questions to determine whether he's reading in out of the text. So why so religious? A couple of questions.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to you, but it matters to the world and
It
the
doesn't.
audience.
No, because here's
Not to you.
This is the point.
Why do you know more than all of Western philosophy and literature?
Right.
Why are you
It's
qualified to more than all?
Here's why it doesn't matter. Here's why it doesn't matter. All I'm doing is showing what is being taught. I don't have an opinion on it.
If you have no opinion,
if I don't say I have an opinion on it, then that's
Okay.
what it is. Because
So
the
you-
fact that I don't believe in morality. So this isn't how I'm coming about it,
did
right?
you just say you don't?
I don't.
You say
I've spoken about this plenty of times. I believe in the law. So if the law does allow for certain things, then I either accept it or I petition to try to get the law changed or I move. But what I still can do is present evidences of what is being taught and why that law is there. Do you understand the difference?
I understand. So let me give. So
This is
understand. Now
not about
okay,
me,
why so religious? Have you
Why are you
finished?
trying to make this about me, bro? This
Okay,
is
I'm
not
not.
about me, dude.
Okay, but I'd like to speak. I'd like to speak without interrupting. So for the audience, let me give you a simple example. If I was teaching a first year, a graduate course in philosophy or say literature, if I take some arbitrary sentence, let me give one that has two crazy meanings. If I make the sentence, time flies like an arrow, one meaning you have of time flies like an arrow is the metaphor that the passage of time seems to fly through space like an arrow. Another completely different meaning is there's a species of flies called time flies, and for some reason they're fond of physical objects called arrows. A sentence in a language, in a word, means nothing without an interpretive structure. In literature and philosophy, we call this hermeneutics, and I must read every text into and out of. So it looks like why so religious has come with an idea of reading into the Qurans and reading into the Hadiths, a preconceived notion that something is wrong with Islam. Am I right?
No,
Okay.
because the
Is
first
that-
time, right reaction. What you did was try to speak for me and try to determine me reading the Quran for the first time. Because the Quran says itself that Allah guides whom he chooses. So that would mean that Allah guided me to the Quran, but then when I read it, he misguided me and made me where I don't believe it. Okay, so this is in the text. This is the way it is. Okay, most people, when they read something as far as religion, they are searching for something. Now, you are trying to say that when I did this 10 years ago for the first time reading the Quran, that I was coming at it with the concept that this has to be false, that I have to find a way to disprove this. You don't know that, bro. And that's not the
good
way
to know.
that I
I'm
work.
very glad to know you're open-minded, why so
Very right?
Okay, why so religious? I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you're very open-minded. So let's pretend I'm taking you for your face value and I say you are open-minded and you don't possess a preconceived notion and you're coming to the Holy Quran and the Hadiths with no preconceived notion. Would you also agree that nevertheless, you must still either read into or out of a text? Would you agree with that statement?
Ralph, none of this has to do anything with me.
Why don't you answer simple questions?
It has nothing
Why
to
can't
do
you
with
answer?
it, dude.
But why
Because
can't you answer simple
I don't
questions?
want, because this is not about me, bro. You understand?
No,
And this is what
okay, let's say it's not you, Vice Religious. Let's say Chakra. If you're feeling very personal, Vice Religious.
Anybody who listened yesterday, what did I say? That as soon as I come on the panel, people make this about me. Okay, they
Okay,
don't.
but
Make
let's not make it about you, Vice Religious. I apologize. I apologize unreservedly. Let's pretend I was Nine Ether. Would you agree with my statement that when Nine Ether approaches the Quran, and when Nine Ether, it's not about you anymore, when Nine Ether approaches the Quran and Nine Ether approaches the Hadiths, she must either read into or out of text. Would you agree with that statement?
I do not know how she approaches it.
No,
Maybe-
anybody.
She's
Anybody. Would you agree with the principle that a read? Okay, let's try to
If they're neutral,
Would you agree with the principle?
look, if they're neutral and they're just doing it such
What's
as I have
neutral?
just done, which I have just done, which is just to present what is being.
No, it doesn't work like that. I'm trying to help you. It does. Let me share my screen. Belly, can I share my screen?
It doesn't matter what
Let
you
me,
say.
let me share my screen, Belly, and let me explain to you the difference in fundamental literary criticism and fundamentally reading a text.
Ralph really might not be at his
He's not his computer. So basically, let me help you out. So I make this not personal for you, Vice Religious. You don't get that.
Ralph, 1 second. Jupiter was trying to speak.
Go on, I haven't got very long. Go on, Jupiter.
After him, but because the point's already been made by Rice So Religious. He's telling you he's only literally reading the text. It's up to us to interpret it ourselves and analyze it.
I understand he's doing that, but I'm saying even if you, Jupiter, or anyone else was to read any text, it doesn't matter who they are, they must either read into or read out of text is what you would learn in the first year of literary criticism of philosophy. It doesn't matter who's doing it.
I'm glad that we're learning this from Ralph, who 2 hours ago was saying that his reasoning was that 30 was the age of the average lifespan, and that somebody brings a tafsir that says 18 through 25 is adulthood. I love how he doesn't want to address that, but he wants to.
Okay, I'm happy to do so, but in order for me to address it, I must first understand. It's like saying, for example, if I gave you a copy of Shakespeare and you were 6 years old and you didn't know anything and you read it, you probably wouldn't understand a word of it. If I gave it to you when you were 16, you have a better chance of understanding Macbeth. And then if I took you to university and I educated you about hermeneutics, reading and out of text, you'd read the same story differently. The story is the same. Macbeth doesn't change. Fair is foul and foul is fair. Wither through the fog and filthy air remain sentences in Macbeth. But when you read it in 6, you might giggle at fair is foul. When you read it at 16, you might think it's romantic. And when you read it at 24 at Oxford, you might see something completely different. What I'm trying to do is say is any reader for any text.
You're just talking to yourself, bro. I'm not.
No,
I'm so mind right now.
Oh,
You
that's
realize
true. You don't have to, because my observation for you, Why So Religious, I haven't got very long. My observation for you is you're constantly.
Hold on. Ralph, Jupiter's trying to speak.
Yeah. Should we just dismiss all scriptures then because they're worthless? Because
No,
what you're saying is that the interpretation can change depending on age and depending on the person.
Here comes the screen, so this should be much easier. Here comes Veli with the evidence. To answer your question, Jupiter. You answered your question.
He's talking about college courses and bringing a Wikipedia page, bro.
No. So because you didn't understand the basic terms, I have to go to Wikipedia for you. So if you look at the basic idea, there's 2 forms of things. There's eisegesis or exegesis, which is reading. Look, it's a process of interpreting text in such a way to introduce one's own presuppositions and gender biases. It is commonly referred to as reading into the text. It is often done to prove a point of concern. So let me contrast this. Calm down, people. Let me contrast this quickly with the opposite methodology in hermeneutics, which is exegesis, which is to read out, to lead out. It's a critical explanation or interpretations of a text, particularly religious, used to pull something out in textual criticism.
Yes, but that.
So I'm not making this up. I'm pointing.
Fighting that ever was.
Exactly, Jupiter, 100%. So if someone is educated. If someone is educated, the first thing they do is to understand what methodology they're using when they approach a text, whether they've chosen the methodology to read in or to lead out. Now, what I'm saying is when you approach something as complicated as thousands of verses in, say, the Hadith of the Bible, or let's say the entire Homer's the Iliad, you can't just wander in willy-nilly without a methodology in which to understand the text.
So another thing that I would like to just address this earlier, real quick, because this shows Jupiter, I'm about to mute. I just want to say this real quick to Ralph. Something that you even said earlier. Okay, you were saying to somebody, I can't remember who. Do you know how many verses? I think it was Banksy. Do you know how many verses are in the Quran? And then you try to say, well, out of the 7,000 hadiths and the thousands of verses of the Quran and the tafsirs, you have to have such an intricate knowledge, this and that. Zubaydah would disagree with you. Because
but she might disagree with me, but I'd rather look at the Western canon than Zubaydah. I'd rather look at listen. I'm
Muslim, so here you are.
Yeah, but you're very excited, but you clearly don't understand fundamental academic discipline. Here's hermeneutics on the screen. Read with me. Read and open your mind. Hermeneutics is the theory and methodology of interpretation, especially the interpretation of biblical texts, wisdom literature, and philosophical texts. Hermeneutics shows you the interpretive trends. If you don't have to listen, you can remain in ignorance. I'm happy for you to keep speaking in ignorance, or you can look at the screen, calm down, and read what smarter people than you have already understood. Right? So what I'm saying here.
Bring the scripture up, Why So Religious? And Ralph's going to tell us how to interpret it with an open mind.
I'm not going to do that, but you didn't listen. No, you didn't listen to me.
That's the point you're making. The point you're making.
But did I say open mind?
Religious as read it with a bias, and you're going to read it with an unbiased and explain to us what it actually means. Go on, Mr. Clever Clogs.
Okay, so Jupiter, you didn't understand. Either you didn't listen, Jupiter, or you didn't understand. Let me try again. There is no bias.
Me.
Okay, allow me to.
Okay,
this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna
So
work.
one at a time, Jupiter, you're not adding any value here. One at a time. So I didn't make the statement exegesis or the alternative is better than the other. I said one of those two options is the way you interpret under hermeneutics any text. I didn't say one way was the better than the other. So when you said he's doing one, I didn't say that. All I said is this is how you read. Let me finish. This is how you read any text when you go to university and learn how to do critical theory. And I'm pointing out and asking the question, is this reader of the text aware of the methodology approaches when he approaches the Holy Quran? And the answer is, looks like he doesn't understand how methodology works. He doesn't know the difference between reading into the text or reading out of the text. And therefore, when he was to be a reader of the text, I would not value that readership. End of.
Okay, and what you did was imply that Why So Religious was reading it with a bias, okay? Because you went into the two different styles, and one was to read with a bias and one was to read with an open mind. And you implied subliminally that what he was doing was reading with a bias and out of context. So I'm asking you to read it without the bias because you're so neutral and you're so pious and you think you're better than everybody else. And please explain to us mere mortals without your unbiased view of how the text should be read. So can you bring the scripture up, Why So Religious? And
yes, and in order to do that, Jupiter, obviously you still haven't understood, have you?
Interpret the writings for us.
Yeah, but before we do that, okay, have you finished? Jupiter, before we do that, the fact that you just made those statements tell me you didn't listen or understood to what I said. It isn't biased or unbiased. You haven't either listened or understood. It isn't biased or unbiased. It's reading into or reading out of. Do you understand the difference?
Right.
Because what you're saying is not what I said.
Okay, hold on. Reading into would indicate that somebody is already predetermined what they're looking for. Am I right or wrong?
It says what they're looking, what they're reading.
I'm
the
right.
text
You know I'm correct. You know I'm
do that. Are you going to talk over? What's the point of answering your questions if you just speak over people?
Position of why
what's the point of just asking?
Entered into
what is the point of Jupiter? What's the point of just listening to you?
I'm smart.
You don't listen and you don't understand.
You can't.
Then why are you making mistakes?
You might do.
Tell me what I said, Jupiter. What are the
I understand you perfectly.
Then explain what I said to the audience and prove it, because just now you didn't, did you? You think you're clever, Jupiter.
I'm asking you to reread the text that Why So Religious read, okay, without looking inward, looking outward, You read it to us and show us how to do it and how we should read it neutrally, and you give us the neutral
Absolutely.
interpretation.
Absolutely.
Go
But
on then.
before I do
Go on
that,
then, Mr. Clever. Go on then.
have you finished being a monkey? Now listen. So before either you read into or out of, you'd have to do both, wouldn't you?
Listen, I'd rather be a monkey than an ape.
Right?
rather
Rather
be a monkey
into,
than an
right? Now I suggest strongly that you get yourselves ready to
In
look
fact,
at this
I'd
and
rather
say,
be a monkey
with an
than a-
open mind, and an open heart, I'm going to look at any verse in the Quran or a verse from Macbeth or the opening of Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. You know, now fair,
all
Polyton,
that
Oxalard,
is
goes on a
true.
bit. You're going
Just
to read
rambling,
into
yeah.
Stop
and
it,
just
you're
rambling.
not stupid
Alhamdulillah,
out here.
Islamophobes will be
We
shown
are, but
how
that's all.
stupid they are.
I would
I'll
just,
leave it
I
over
would
to
just,
you, Kat.
So
Let's see.
I would-
I want to see. So now the next test is going to be,
Brown
the
and
next test is why so religious? Why so
can all
religious?
do
I'd
this
like
in
you.
my-
Why
you can
so
all do
religious?
it
I'd like
properly.
Ralph,
Calm down,
I don't care
Why
about
so
your
religious?
Wikipedia
Thank
test,
you.
Why
okay?
so? Well, why so
Behave
religious? I'd like. Why
Train
so religious?
yourself.
Ah,
It's
she's
not
so.
coming now.
You keep talking and no one's listening to you. You
Train
keep
yourself.
screaming. You come here to
It's not
scream. Finish screaming? Thank you.
Not
So why so
coming.
religious? Can you take
coming.
your first hadith? Can you take your first Quran verse? And I challenge you. Can you now give me both the readings for anyone? I want you to do it, not me. I want you to take one of your hadiths and show us in the audience with your great scholarly wisdom how you will find both meanings. Can you do that for me now?
So, what I would like to first point out is Right Reaction is upset that I used his words against him 2 times.
No, I'm not.
And that he's trying to
Twice,
make
not
this
2
about me.
times.
The fact is, all I did, and anybody who disputes this, all I did was bring what the Quran verse says. I brought,
Just
I
like
brought,
a 6-year-old.
I brought the text, but but then I brought,
It's not the same as the 60-year-old.
but then I
Ralph,
brought, but then I brought tafsirs, I brought hadiths, I brought jurisprudence. I don't have to understand it, Ralph. You understand that? All I have to do is bring what is being taught to the Islamic people, to the Muslims, to the scholars, the sheikhs. All I have to do is present that. I don't even have to understand it. You get that? Because there are people who don't understand things that can still teach it, right? You realize that? I mean, plenty of, because even like you said earlier, you were saying that, oh, it takes understanding of thousands of these, all the Quran verses, the tafsirs, but yet if Zubaydah was on here, she would disagree with most of the tafsirs, most of the hadiths. She says that
But
she
that's up to the
doesn't follow
right?
any of it. So except for the ones that she finds cut.
But I'll tell you what, why so religious. I mean this from the bottom of my heart, why so religious. I'm actually, because you obviously your pet hobby is studying religious texts. So my first test was, what's your level of scholarly knowledge?
Ralph, he's gone off the panel.
Okay, but I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, I'm new to Islam, but it applies to any other piece of text. Your level of knowledge will be your ability to be impartial to reading in and out of text.
Right,
If you
right.
can't read impartially into the text and read impartially out of the text, you're not a good reader of the text. Now, he doesn't seem to be aware that fundamental literary theory and philosophy tells me that's how I must interpret any text, let alone the fact that I would have read into and out of all the hadiths and all the Quran verses. I mean, so I look at this guy and say, if my daughter shows up with Macbeth at 12, which she is reading right now, and when she shows up to me at 24 to write a PhD on Macbeth, what I will see from her is not the same girl as 12, but the same girl as 24. Yeah, that's my point. Right? So this guy's motivated phobia.
The issue with Waso is this, yeah. And Ralph, you will notice what he's doing in it. He will take one side, yeah, but he won't show the other side. That's what he always
But
does.
you see, my friend, you can have a motivation that's pre-biased towards something against something. Let me give you an example. You might hate Macbeth,
Yes.
but even if you hated Macbeth or Shakespeare personally, if you would try to do a university exam in it, you'd still have to be measured or marked against whether you can objectively read into Macbeth or out of it before you can criticize it. If you can't perform this fundamental scholastic act, it doesn't matter how many hadiths my child brings me or how many hadiths the most esteemed scholar brings me. My first test is, what is your scholastic skills? In his case, his interpretation is always anti-theist, anti-religious, anti-scripture, and he has no intellectual foundations on which to base these assessments. It's like I might as well go take medical advice from the guy in the corner of the street. It's more likely to be accurate. Alhamdulillah, who is this guy? Why so obsessed? MashaAllah, he will submit to the will of the Creator. Mark my words. Yeah, he's on a journey. But anyway, I don't have long this evening. I have some other things to do. How are you? Oh, he seems to have gone away and stayed away.
I am alright, man.
So I'll put the links in the chat. Everyone can look their own way, learn about hermeneutic.
He's a weirdo.
These are some crazy. He's a not weird thing.
Ralph, a guy, yeah. Ralph, he's one of them dudes, yeah. He'll be talking for 2 hours and he'll expect everyone to listen to him.
And crazy. But you know what? I'm new. I'm learning. You know, I read the Quran when I was young twice, and I'm reading it again. And even when I read it again, I have to keep an open intellectual mind. Am I reading into? Am I reading out to? How do I interpret
100%.
this? You don't just come in and say, hey, this hadith is Sahih, and it says this, therefore I've made some sort of point. You haven't made any point. All you've done is recite like a monkey reading some words. It means nothing. Yeah, I mean, I might as well read it in Russian. That's how much meaning it has to me. But the truth, then you ask a deeper question. What is the motivation of an American constantly has his baby in one hand, an alcohol bottle in the other, and seems to just have a hadith after hadith, and you think this is a man who is searching for Allah? Clearly the answer is to put the bottle down, pick up the baby, get off the internet, and do what the Creator has in mind for him. So we should help him, we should guide him, brother, along what obviously he is craving, which is the order. Yeah.
He'll always deny evidence when he's
Denial is
giving.
a form of fear.
That's why it's best not to entertain him.
No, the best thing is to help him
Just best
understand
not
that, you know, when you come up with your little pocket collection of hadiths, and I point you first to your critical theory of how you should read anything, he doesn't know what it is. He gets so personal, gets upset, the baby's crying, he runs away, and 1.8 billion Muslims eventually say, oh shit, that's it. I no longer believe in Allah. Because the drunk American with the baby crying has told me he's read a couple of hadiths. Alhamdulillah, who are these guys? These kuffars really annoy me, man. So, bring down the kuffars. Is that all it took? Jesus, I can get on with my evening. It looks like I go and mute.
Shahid, that was £1.
What? Well, I'm not allowed to say
No
that.
swearing on the panel, none at all.
Okay, I apologize for saying that word. Veli, you can kick me off if I have insulted.
No, you won't
Okay.
get kicked off. You just be like, you get warnings, and then if you keep doing it afterwards, whether it's personal insults or any of that, then you might get kicked off. But I have to let you know, no swearing. The rules at the bottom, Shai. Look at the rules across the screen. The bottom.
Personally, I didn't believe that was as well.
No, that's actually fact. Like nobody, not only you, any of us, none of us can do it.
No. I apologize for that. Mr. Afghan is on the panel, and Brother Orthodox
Assalamu
Noah is
alaikum,
also on the
nice
panel.
to see you. Someone's going to take over, yeah. I don't know who the other guy is.
No, I'll tell you something, yeah. Orthodox Noah is one of the most blessed
Oh, I
brothers
was
I've
hoping
ever
someone with some
seen,
actual
man.
wisdom in the hadiths could
Oh, am I in? Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, Afghan, you are in.
Hey. What happened to why so Jewish? Where's he ran off to?
Yeah,
I
that
don't think he wants to read into or out of the hadiths. I think he wants to run away from the hadiths. He's not reading in or reading out. He was reading away.
Is the bagels probably toasted? So.
Shalom, Afghan, shalom. Who are these guys? It's like it's almost like you have to rent an Islamophobe or something. It's just like an American version. You go 188 dial kuffar or something, and you get one of these guys. You go 1888 dial kuffar, and boom, one of them pop up.
Hold on, Ralph.
Hey, real quick. Hey,
I think Orthodox Noah.
yeah,
Yeah,
real
go
quick.
on,
I'm gonna
Orthodox.
give a
Go
small
on.
counter presentation to my man. Watch
Yes. Orthodox Noah, just drop some knowledge.
Yeah,
while
listen,
you're
I'm
here,
giving.
man.
I'm
Let's
giving the
read the
short premise version on this because I did a long video on this a while ago on one of my channels that I was addressing David Wood, and David Wood actually flagged my video because I was killing his point and whatnot. So I had to do this whole nother demonstration on another channel without using his
He
name.
flagged your video.
Bro, yeah, because he was talking about the Moshe Khan translation and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Using 65.4. I was like, oh, see, this is talking about prepubescent girls and whatnot. I was like, okay, let me just go rock with this right quick and go kill this whole ridiculous concept. You can use the hadith to make the argument, but you cannot use the Quran to make the argument on 65.4.
Oh boy.
So real quick, basic premise from a Quranist, Surah 39:23. Allah has sent down the best hadith, the best statement, a consistent book wherein is reiteration. Use the reiteration of the Quran to understand the Quran in terms of the hermeneutic Ralph was talking about, right? You can eisegete or exegete, you know what I'm saying? I don't prefer to eisegete, I prefer just the
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother, for at least acknowledging that there is both methodologies are consistent, and you can use either or both, as opposed to not know what they even are. Yeah?
Facts.
Carry on, brother. Yeah.
So this is the Moshe Khan translation that David Wood was using. You know what I'm saying, in 65.4. It says, "And those of your women," just so we're clear, it talks about women the whole time, and only women and mature women are allowed to get married via the Quran. Maturity is the age of marriage via the Quran. And those of you women, as have passed the age of monthly courses, for them, the either prescribed period, if you have doubts about their periods, is 3 months. And for those who have no courses, i.e., they are still immature, this is the Moshe Khan translation, right? Or the prescribed period is 3 months, likewise, except in the case of death, etc. So this is the Sahih International translation, where it says, "And those who no longer expect menstruation among your women," again, women, "if you doubt, then your period is 3 months, and also if those who have not menstruated." Okay, so just pay attention to that not menstruated part, right? But there's the Arabic, and I'm gonna talk about this phraseology right here, because it uses this phrase here for menstruation when it could have used a whole nother one for women or for girls who have not reached puberty yet. So hold on right quick. So just to clarify why it's talking about people who have not menstruated, in Surah 2, Ayah 28, it says, "Divorced women," again, women, "remain in waiting for 3 periods, and it is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs, if they believe in Allah in the last day. And their husbands have more right to take them back in his period if they want reconciliation. And due to the wives is similar to what is expected of them, etc." But what it's saying here is that the reason why they have the waiting period is it's not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs. So when you go back to when Why So Religious was actually reading the tafsir in the whole situation, he was saying like one of the reasons why they wait for 3 months is because they need to see if they're pregnant or not. That's literally what the Quran says. The Quran says that part, not the rest of what he was saying, right?
Brother Moore, hold on for 1 sec, yeah?
Go ahead.
Will someone be able to make a space for Whites and Religious to jump back on?
No worries. That's my G. We can have a conversation about this.
I'll go off.
I'll be off soon anyway, but thank you. So can I just have a quick question for I don't know, I haven't met you before, brother, but so that would make sense, wouldn't it? Because they're basically using it for the fertility cycle to make sure there's fidelity. But Allah would have given life, right? The life would have started as soon as the baby is conceived. So therefore, this is a protection clause. Am I right? Is that the right interpretation?
Yes, 100%. But you're stay around for this one verse here, because this clarifies everything. Surah 24, Ayah 58. "O you who have believed, let those whom your right hand possess, i.e. those ruled by their oaths to you, and those who have not yet reached puberty among you, ask permission of you," right? To go see prayer, etc., 3 times a day, etc., whatnot, right? So there's a phrase there, right? It does not use this phrase in 65.4. It uses it in 24:58. It says, "And those who have not reached puberty amongst you, el hulama minkum." It does not say that in Surah 65.4. It says, "And those who have not menstruated." And it clarifies in Surah 2, Ayah 228, why you have to check for those who have it's not menstruated yet, so they have to wait 3 months to see if they're pregnant, because it's unlawful to conceal what Allah has created in their womb.
Sorry to interrupt you, brother. So what they're doing is they're confusing this, and they're interpreting 65.412 as saying those who have not menstruated. They're conflating that with those who are young. Is that right?
Right. Those who have not reached puberty. They're trying to say those who haven't reached puberty, and there's a specific term for that. There's a specific way you say that, and that phraseology in Arabic is not in any way used in 65.4. So just to clarify, the Quran, the greatest hadith, reiterates that there's 3 groups of divorcing women: women who are menopausal, women who are pregnant, and women who are potentially pregnant. The waiting period for them is 3 months. It's unlawful to conceal a woman's pregnancy. And again, they use the phraseology "not menstruated" versus "not reached puberty yet." So there we go. Done.
So that actually separates. I did that in English. Then
there because it said "and also." I want to see that bit in 65.4.
Sure, hold on. Let me go back to sharing it right quick.
So while you're doing that, so that really is it's a kind of a strange misunderstanding, or like you say, a pre-reading into the text that they want prepubescent to be equivalent to not having menstruated, which seems almost like a bias.
Exactly. And you can't make it work via the Arabic. That's the whole crazy part.
So it doesn't work in Arabic, and then in English they pull some tricks, right?
Yep. So what do you want to see? What do you want to see, sis?
Right, in 65:4, let me wait for it to come up. I've got to wait for it to come up on YouTube. If you read it for me, please.
Okay, 65:4. And those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, if you doubt, then their period is 3 months. And those who have not menstruated, and for those who are pregnant, their term is until they give birth. And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him of his matters ease.
So when it says, and also for those who have not menstruated, you're saying that doesn't mean a separate group, because that's what it looks like.
No, that's what I said. I said it's talking about 3 groups of women. It's specifically talking about women who are menopausal, ones who are pregnant, and ones who are potentially pregnant, ones who have not yet menstruated.
Makes sense.
Right. So I thought you couldn't get married or have sex unless you actually had menstruated, because that was when you were deemed past puberty of any age.
Ask that question one more time.
Well, when we ask people why there isn't an age of consent in Islam, they say because they go by menstruation or puberty. Mm-hmm. So if a girl hasn't actually reached puberty, how do they deem, if she hasn't gone through menstruation, how do they deem that she is of consent?
So in terms of other schools of thought, I couldn't tell you, but as me as a Quranist, if I have a question, I have to go back to the previous scripture, whatnot. And so when I do that, the Quran stipulates that, for instance, the age of maturity is the age of marriage. And then other parts of the Quran, it literally says that Joseph was the age of marriage when he was starting to interpret dreams, or the age of maturity when he was starting to interpret dreams and whatnot. So when I go back to the Torah, it literally says he was 17 when he was doing that. And so the Torah, hold on real quick. The Torah says the same. The Torah is the previous criterion, says the same thing, that the age of marriage is after 17. There's a word for like mature, like alad, and there's a word for like who's still maturing, like a child or whatnot.
So this is in the Tanakh as well, and then
100%.
Okay, that's matter settled, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's 100%.
If it's in the Tanakh as well, and it's, I mean, you know, I don't know why is this even a point to disagree? Very impressive. Yeah. Are you where in this?
So if you're puberty yet, you're still going to be classed as a child. And therefore, if you haven't reached the age of 17, you're saying. So then why did Muhammad marry somebody who was 6 and sleep with her when she was 9?
I was just saying.
Don't you ever wish you could be as healthy as you used to be? Honestly, I tried everything.
I was just saying that's not universally believed in Islam.
No, I know that. So are you of the sect that doesn't believe that, yeah?
I'm of this sect who doesn't even care because Aisha's not mentioned in the Quran. So like my whole issue is like, so if
well, that's fair enough, but it's the ones that do believe it that really we need the discussion with, because
right, and that's why I break down the Arabic as to why let's say historically he did do it, right? Let's say historically he did marry a 69-year-old. It would not be lawful from the Quran. He would be a fallen prophet at that point.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all I needed you to.
And what's the consensus? You would know this author as well. Is the current consensus? Aisha was somewhere either between 9 and 17, 9 and 17 or something. Is that the correct consensus?
So amongst Sunnis, she's going to be 6 to 9. She's going to be anywhere from 16 to 21.
What is the verse that you brought up talking about though?
I brought up 65:4, then I brought up 2:28, then I brought up 24:48.
24:48. It's talking about prayer, leaving for prayer, right?
Right.
So when you're mentioning puberty, that is when the person has the ability to leave without the parent's permission. I mean, that they have to ask the parents' permission to leave. Now, when we're talking about the spectrum of 65:4, the word puberty isn't there, and what's important here, but that's what's important there is that Allah says in the Quran that if the oceans were ink, His words would not dry up before the ocean. So if Allah wanted to put puberty there, He would have, but instead He put a spectrum of not menstruated to stopping of menstruation. So this is where if you want to get into interpretation, then yes, you could say, oh, well, he didn't use the word puberty. And I would even argue with your concept, and I've made a video about it, and I have it pulled up if we want to just go through the slides of it, of you talking about who was it that you just said, puberty during his dreams? I'm sorry?
Oh, you're talking about
the maturity.
Yeah, the age of maturity, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't really do that, because if you go back and look at the text don't line up with what the lineage of the Bible.
Break that. Make that. I don't understand what you just said, so just say that one more time real slow. You sound a bit worked up.
So if one of your going back to find source material is flawed, then the whole thing is flawed. Such as with Miriam, who is the daughter, right? Is somebody echoing? I'm sorry. Somebody echoing?
I'm not hearing echo.
Okay. So if you're going back to find the maturity level, okay, and you find that in the Torah, then we have to use that throughout the whole Quran as the way to actually determine if your methodology,
that's literally what I just did.
If your methodology is sound, though, because
so
if
I
we
can
go
take you back to the
3,
Torah and show you 17 too.
Yeah, but if we go to 336 through 39, when the wife of Imran said, and then there's a whole verse about how she had Miriam, which is Mary.
What does that have to do about puberty and menstruation?
Because because it shows the methodology you're using is flawed. Because the book doesn't coincide at all places with the Quran.
So the methodology from the Quran says the reiteration of the verses they're in, and if you have doubt about what's coming down, you go to the people of the previous scripture. And it specifically says go to the previous criteria on the Torah, right? I can show you that. I can pull that verse if you need me to.
And let me finish real quick. And then you have to do the same thing throughout the whole thing if it doesn't.
Don't disagree.
So right here in 336 through 39, it talks about the wife of Imran was giving birth to a female named Miriam. Okay. So then she is the one who had Jesus, and that she was under the protection of Zechariah. So your methodology is flawed, because Imran is in the Old Testament and is nowhere near the concept of Miriam and Jesus. So this is just to show.
So okay, so if I take the criteria, the previous criterion for 30, all it's saying that she's a Levite, right?
No, what it is saying here
real quick, is Imran the father? Is Imran anywhere in the lineage of Levites?
Let me finish here.
It's a yes no question. No, it's a yes no question.
You have to.
It's a yes no question.
I'm talking about your methodology. I'm hearing an echo from somebody, man. Maybe it's my screen. No, I'm on mute. So
give me the drink, man. Yeah.
So let me screen share this, Valley, and this is the point that I'm trying to get at. He's talking about going back to the Torah or the Bible to validate points that he's trying to bring up. Well, if his ability to do that is sound, then there wouldn't be any contradiction in his methodology. So that's the whole point. So if I can prove that there is a contradiction in his methodology, then it shows that what he is doing isn't sound.
How about you disprove the Arabic of the verses I just brought up?
What, that just because it doesn't mention puberty? Allah chose, according to the Quran, Allah chose not to use the word puberty.
So why did he? So according to the Quran, why did he choose not to use puberty? Then he chose to use menstruation.
Well, that would be for Allah to decide, right?
Okay, so I gave a reiteration verse in 2:28, right? About not concealing what Allah has created in your womb. Did you catch that part or no?
Yes.
So does that not, in your eyes, does that line up or not line up with 65:4? It looks like talks about a waiting period of 3 months in the verse.
And it also talks about a waiting period of 3 months for those who menstruated not. So
right. So why? What's the whole point? It gives the clarity because you cannot hide what is in your womb created from Allah.
Yeah.
But if you look at the way that it's phrased, and Allah chose to phrase it, is that have not menstruated. The spectrum is what I'm getting at. You
have women who are menopausal, women who are pregnant, and women who are potentially pregnant. It's the full spectrum of women, not children. Women,
not menstruated. It doesn't say that they have not menstruated after sex specifically, because everybody knows that the Ida, the Ida is for anybody.
So I read off Surah 2:28. That's why I read off Surah 2:28. What's the whole reference point? Because the whole concept is because they cannot hide what Allah created in the womb. Unless you're talking about immaculate conceptions all day. I don't know what you're saying, bro.
Yeah. So, but the thing I also again, this is my point about reading into preconceived ideas into it. Once you understand that women don't menstruate because they are pregnant, what I saw when I read that, and you explained it to me, that was just a natural description of the biological cycle of a woman. There's nothing mysterious there, right? I mean, unless I'm missing the entire point here. But, there's nothing mysterious there. It's almost like you're hunting for the word puberty because you already have a preconception.
He's hunting for the word puberty, not me.
Puberty is not mentioned there, though.
I'm not the one hunting for the word puberty. He's actually going back to
when you went back to that Islamic book, you specifically read the part where it talks about what I said, where it says, yeah, it's talking about the waiting period for people who need to see if they're pregnant yet, right? To see if they actually have conceived a child. And then you jump to a part of the top about unless when you go to divorce, unless they're prepubescent or whatever, they haven't hit puberty, whatever. So you brought puberty into it. So that's why I corrected the concept.
My point was that Allah chose not to use the word puberty.
And we agree.
So that does not negate my argument just because the word puberty isn't there. In fact, the concept that I'm bringing up is that in a spectrum, if Allah is trying to direct people, because you would agree with me, okay, that the Quran is not very specific about how you have to pray. None of this holding your hands out that Muslims follow in Hadith. It just simply says bow, prostrate, and recite. You know what I'm saying?
The Quran, the Torah, the Bible, it gives general principles in all three.
So, okay, there we go. General principles. One of those principles would be the spectrum of what is allowed to be marriage. And the Ida, which is if you have sex with this person, why it is, such as in the one that you gave, that they cannot hide from what they conceal. But it also gives the spectrum of those who have not menstruated all the way to those who stopped menstruating. That's a spectrum. That's a spectrum that covers all possibilities. Now, if Allah would have said from those who had their first menstruation, then that would set that puberty, right? But Allah did not want to set puberty. He wanted to say those who have not menstruated.
So what is the point of not menstruation there is from what you're saying? Because it's a spectrum. Spectrum of what?
Of what is allowable.
What?
So real quick, is the spectrum among women or people or children and women?
The spectrum is on any female, okay? Because the verse
does it say any female or women?
The verse here, okay? The verse is talking about what is allowed to be married towards females, what the men are allowed to marry.
It literally says divorcing women. It doesn't
so
say
what?
females.
That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because women.
So are children called Nisai? Are they called Tiflan?
Firstly, it doesn't matter.
How does it not matter?
Because
so if the age of drinking is 21 or the age of drinking is 2, you verify that some way, shape, or form. Yeah, you can't just like, oh, the age of drinking is whatever, right? Like I can't go into a bar as a 2-year-old and expect to get served a drink. Yeah.
What I'm saying, it doesn't matter that he uses the word women, okay? Because the reason that
so if we're talking about prepubescent children, but he uses women there, and he uses not menstruated versus puberty. What argument are you making, bro? It's clear he's talking about women in a natural biological cycle.
So there is no.
If you don't mind, what happens is it looks like to me. I'm a computer scientist. So I just live in logic and data. It sounds a lot like he's almost trying to accuse the creator of the fallacy of omission. He's almost saying because you were not explicit in the Quran to use a distinguishing logical clause, i.e. puberty versus a menstruation, he's almost holding an accusation, which is the fallacy of omission.
Well, I mean, the Quran
because
is
Allah did not
so why would that be any different?
But Allah did not choose to use that word. So you're trying to put in a word and then argue with the fallacy of omission that because the word is not there, there's a secondary tertiary meaning.
So
not only that, it gives the same precept. Hold on, real quick. It gives the same precept for all 3 groups of women in Surah 2, Ayah 228. Divorced women remain in waiting for 3 periods that is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs.
So
again, all 3 of them have the same situation put on top of them. You have to wait just to make sure you don't have a kid, man.
This is the thing. If you get married, then Allah considers you a woman. no matter what. In that
Show me that.
spectrum.
Show me that in the Quran.
Spectrum.
Show me that in the Quran.
No. What I'm going to argue here, Orthodox more.
You're arguing hadith. Show me from the Quran.
No. What I'm arguing is that he chose not to
You
use
just
the
made
word
a
puberty.
claim.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Prove your
Let me
claim. Then you
finish.
can prove your claim. And you can
You're
finish.
not even proving your claim.
I'm
My
just
point
showing you
here-
the Quran. What are you
That's
talking about?
That's not proof what you're saying. That's your personal reading of it. And
So
then
I wrote 228 and
so here we go.
65:4. I wrote the Quran down.
in the part that you're talking about, women, right, are the ones who have already been married and had sex. That's the iddah, is already mentioned in 2 of those verses. The third verse that you bring up that mentions puberty, okay, is actually talking about when they can leave and go to pray by themselves if they ask permission. There's a difference in what the puberty verse that you were talking about is presenting, as opposed to the 2 verses that are talking about iddah, which is women, because they're married and they had sex, have to
So in
wait
65:4, are they adult women?
They are
not menstruated? Hold
women.
on. Let me finish my question. Are they adult women who have not menstruated in this situation, or are they prepubescent children?
They are both, because they are women when they get married and have sex.
So I need you to show me another verse in the Quran that reiterates what you're saying, like I just did with Surah 2, ayah
What
228.
I did was show your 3 verses and how they do not connect, especially the one about puberty. Okay, the one about puberty is about the parents or the guardians allowing people to go, and it even mentioned it's about the ones that you possess, right? The right hands possess. So this is even about people that are slaves to you wanting to go and pray and learn at the mosque or wherever. So that's when puberty matters to Allah inside the Quran, as opposed to the 2 times that he talks about the iddah, the waiting period after sex, which is the
It says after marriage. It doesn't say after sex.
iddah is the waiting period because of after sex. Because if you don't
show me where iddah means has anything to do with sex.
If you don't have sex after a marriage, then the iddah is not important, because you never have to worry about what's inside of the womb. They can't conceal what was not conceived inside of sex. You understand that? So
that's
women,
literally my point, B.
Women are the ones who are married.
Agreed. But show me where a child gets
married. If they get married, they become the women in the verse.
Is maturity the age of marriage in the Quran? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna show you the verse.
This is what I mean. It's like reading into the text things you already want to believe. It's fascinating behavior by Islamophobes.
Because literally the orphans and the marriageable age, like the age the orphans get their property, and the marriageable age is the same age in the Quran, bro. Surah 4 ayat 6. Hold on, let me share my screen. Blow it up for the people. My joint's small. So it literally says, and test the orphans in their abilities until they reach marriageable age, right? And it breaks down further in the Quran that the age that they get their stuff is maturity. Do you deny that or no?
It never defines maturity. That was my point. It never defines
no. That wasn't that wasn't the question asked you. The question asked you is the marriageable age equatable to maturity in the Quran? Yes or no? That was the question put to you.
To orphans? Did Allah put
Holy
outside
shit.
of anybody outside of orphans?
Holy shit, you're drowning right now.
Nope,
Come on, bro.
Nope. Give me the verse and I'll read it out. I'll put it on the screen or whatever.
Ayat 6. I'll give you the rest of the verses having to do with maturity. Give me 2 seconds. Go ahead and read it, bro.
And test the orphans until they reach marriageable age. Then if you perceive in them sound judgment, release their property to them, and do not consume it excessively and quickly, that they will grow up, and whoever is self-sufficient should refrain, and whoever is poor, let him take according to what is acceptable. Then you release their property to them, bring witness upon them in sufficient account. Pickthall, prove orphans till they reach the marriageable age. Then if you find of sound judgment, deliver over to them their fortune, and devour it not by squandering in haste. At least they should grow up. Whoso is rich, let him abstain generously. And whoso is poor, let them take them of their reason. And when ye deliver up to their fortune unto orphans, have witness in their presence. So, where was maturity?
I literally just said I'm going to give you the other verses where it equates that same concept to maturity. Again, Surah 6, ayah 152. And do not approach the orphan's property except in a way that is best until he reaches maturity. Boom. One more time. I'm going to give you another verse that says the same thing. And do not approach the property of an orphan except in the way that is best until he reaches maturity. 1734. So this is reiteration from the Quran again, bro.
Yes.
Hold on, 1882. And as for the wall, it belonged to the two orphan boys in the city, and there was beneath it a treasure for them, and their father had been righteous. So your Lord intended that they reach maturity and extract their treasure. Orphans getting their treasure at maturity. This is 3 verses. You want me to keep going?
This does not go against what my position was.
Okay, okay, so your position is still false. And
Nope.
it's still on a false premise.
Nope.
And I'm waiting for you to
Nope.
build your premise on the reiteration
So-
of the Quran. Anywhere.
Women, the 65:4, women is implied to those who are married. Because even in the times that you brought up puberty, it was about people who are asking. It doesn't say that they're married, right? It mentions slaves, men in the tafsirs and such, but it mentions slaves and people when they reach puberty asking to go places.
Surah 12,
Now-
ayah 22. And when Joseph reached maturity, we gave him judgment and knowledge, and thus we reward the doers of good. So just real quick. So do you deny that the Quran stipulates to go back to the people of the previous scripture, or it confirms the previous scripture, or it confirms the Torah, or it confirms the Torah as a criterion?
It claims that it does, but if you use your methodology, if you use your methodology, it's flawed when you talk about other things in the Quran.
So what's the age of Joseph in the Torah when
See,
this happens?
this is why I need to screen share, Valley, to show that his methodology of trying to go back to Joseph in the Torah isn't consistent
It's the
with the rest
methodology
of
of
it.
it's not my methodology, it's the methodology of the Quran.
And which shows that the methodology of the Quran is inconsistent and doesn't work. That's the reason I need a screen share. Just one verse, and then it's over with. Because my position is this, is that marriage in the 65:4 is what makes them a woman, because they have an iddah, right? A waiting period if they get divorced.
Show me
And
a
the
verse that says
reason-
marriage is what makes you a woman.
The
bro.
reason,
My head's on the chopping block. Show me one verse that says marriage makes you a woman. My head's on the chopping block. Go ahead.
the verse I gave you. So look,
Which verse is that, bro?
This is what I wanted to show y'all. So he's going back to the Torah to talk about Joseph being mature at 17. But when you look at what his scripture also says, his belief that the Quran supports itself, okay, and saying to go back and search things. 336 to 39. It's a long one. When the wife of Imran said, "My Lord, I have vowed unto thee that which is in my belly as a consecrate, accept it from me. Lo, thou, only thou art the hearer and the knower." And when she was delivered, she said, "My Lord, lo, I am delivered of a female. Allah knew best of which she has delivered. The male is not as the female. And lo, I have named her Mary. And lo, I crave thy protection for her and for her offspring from Satan and outcast." And her Lord accepted her with full acceptance and vouchsafed to her a goodly growth and made Zechariah her guardian. Whenever Zechariah went into the sanctuary where she was, he found her with food, Miriam. So the point here is, you can't use the same methodology to prove that the wife of Imran, who was centuries before Mary, you can't go to the Bible and prove that with Mary here, because Zechariah is in the New Testament and Mary was the mother of Jesus. So your methodology is flawed, is my point. If you're trying to go back and use the Torah to talk about maturity, then you have to do the same thing right here, going back to the Bible, the New Testament, to talk about Mary. But if you did that, you'd have to go all the way back to the Torah to say that. That was my whole point, that your methodology here is flawed. So because the Quran is wrong about that.
Oh, your whole point is that when the Bible says that Jesus is the seed of David or the branch of Jesse, that Jesse's his father and that David's his father. Fuck out of here, bro. It's talking about lineage, bro.
The wife of Imran. It says the wife of Imran, which means that is the person giving birth. The wife of Imran gave birth to Mary according to the Quran. It even says, and then it says that she said, "Oh, I didn't know I gave birth to a child," and then that she gave it to Zechariah in the New Testament.
I'll beat you up on this verse a whole other time on your channel, bro. Break down how this has anything to do with puberty or marriage or anything like that, bro. I'm waiting, bro.
Okay, so your methodology.
You're saying it's my methodology when it's the Quran itself, and you're talking
and the Quran is wrong. Its methodology is flawed.
So where does the Quran authorize the hadith you were using to go verify what you were saying about puberty earlier?
Wait. I tried to keep this as much as Quran as possible. I didn't mention any hadiths since I've been talking to you.
I watched your presentation before I came on. What book were you reading?
I'm talking to you about it. So
what book were you reading? I literally came on to address what you said about puberty from the book you read.
So which one do you want me to talk about? I talked about tafsirs, which had hadiths in them, Sahih hadiths. I talked about the book that I showed you the other day.
Which everyone cites the verse that says that marriage makes you a woman.
But I never claimed that was in the tafsirs or the hadith. What are you talking about?
You literally just claimed that's in the Quran, and you ain't showed me nowhere, bro.
I said that that's how the spectrum would work. And that because
based upon what in the Quran?
Because the word puberty isn't there. And if Allah's words were the ocean of ink, his words wouldn't dry up before the oceans. So he could have put puberty there. But instead he uses the word puberty for people being allowed to go pray. Okay. And then when he mentions the Ida 2 times with the word women, okay, that is something that the Ida is the waiting period for after sex. And when you are talking about women in these verses, and there's the spectrum of have not menstruated all the way to stopped menstruating, then that implies that they become women when they get married in a social construct.
So my question to you is, can you show me your reiteration in the Quran as it says that it shows in Surah 33, ayat 39, ayat 23? Like I just showed you in Surah 2, ayat 228, where all 3 groups of women have the waiting period for the same reason, because they cannot conceal what Allah has created in their womb.
And I just gave you the reason for that, because they became women. I'm not
asking for your reason. I'm asking for another verse that reiterates what you're saying, so I don't got to trust you.
You agreed earlier that
I'm waiting for do you have a verse, yes or no? Do you have a verse, yes or no?
You don't have a verse that says anything that you're complaining.
I literally just gave you the verses.
No, you didn't. You gave me a verse.
65 ayat 4, 2 ayat 28, or 228. Sorry, 24 ayat 58. Go ahead, bro. I just gave you 3. You killed your whole argument.
No, you didn't. You did not give any verse that says that.
157.
You did not give any verse that say that they are not. You did not give any verse that said that they are not prepubescent.
Okay. The verse. I literally just gave you the Arabic. So if you're gonna tell that lie, show me in the Arabic where I'm wrong.
I am not lying here. You are upset. The point that I
just showed you that it does not say puberty, and now you're making the claim that it does include puberty. So show me.
The point that I am making here is
stick to being godless, because you suck at having a god.
When you talk about puberty, the puberty verse is nowhere near the concept of women in 65:4, because Allah would have added the word puberty. Allah would have added the word puberty, but he didn't.
So why did he not, bro? Give me a verse reiterating your reason. Give me a verse reiterating your reason.
He uses the word women in a spectrum that have not.
So give me a verse reiterating what you're saying.
All the way to stopped menstruating. But the one way that he does connect them in those 2 verses, that he says women in Ida, is that they have a waiting period after divorce.
Yep.
There you go.
I agree with you.
Marriage.
So show me a verse.
Women are being equated to marriage.
The women are equated to maturity, fam.
Nope.
So you're literally saying that the verse that says that the reason why they have to wait is because they can't conceal what Allah has created in their womb, right?
Now,
It said, hold on, no, bro, wait. You're saying that a child can be created in the womb of a prepubescent person. Are you hear what you're saying?
Wait. So
yeah, think about that for 2 seconds.
No,
you're a father. You know this doesn't happen like that,
That's not the argument,
bro. That I have to accept that if what you're saying is
not
correct.
the argument.
If what you're saying is correct, then a prepubescent person can have a child with
the argument.
Concealed. Then what is 228 saying? 228.
Let me put it back up so that I can read. So I can have it right in front of me.
Go ahead, because all the groups of women have to follow this up for the same concept, because they cannot hide in their womb what Allah has created. So you're telling me that prepubescent children or girls can be pregnant? How does this work, bro?
No, that's not what it says. It says divorced women remain in waiting for 3 periods, and that is not lawful for them to conceal. So what it is saying here? No. What it is saying here? It's not saying
conceal what? Conceal what? Conceal what?
Firstly,
conceal what?
Firstly,
conceal what?
Stop.
Conceal what?
Stop.
Conceal what?
Stop.
Conceal what?
What it is saying here?
Conceal what?
What it is saying here?
Conceal what?
Notice he doesn't want me to. What he said.
I want you to finish the verse you're reading.
Actually, there. What he said isn't actually there. What it actually states is it is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs. That's not saying that it's talking about the whole spectrum. It's talking about the women who are divorced and that are pregnant, that they have to admit
you're talking
to it.
about natural
they have
pregnancy,
to admit to it.
Either you're talking about natural pregnancy with two. Hold on. Either you're talking about natural pregnancy with 2 adults who can actually produce children, or you're saying that verse is dealing with the immaculate conception between all 3 groups. What are you saying, Watson Religious?
No.
What are you saying?
That is, firstly, notice where his point was. His point was originally that it talks about all 3 of them. Okay, it never mentions all 3 of them. It just says divorced women remain. So in my context, okay, let's start with my context right there. Divorced women in 65:4, and the other and in this verse, divorced women. The word women or woman is implied with marriage, and then both times it also talks about waiting. The waiting period for 3 months, which means that they have sex, which means they have had sex. Okay. And then in 65:4, it also is saying the spectrum of not menstruated all the way to stopped menstruating. Now, if we look at 228, what it is saying is divorced women remain in waiting for 3 months. Okay. That's consistent with 65:4. Even the ones who have not menstruated is consistent with it. And then the very next part, it says, and it is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs if they believe in Allah on the last day. That does not imply that it is talking about the bottom of the spectrum. What it is saying is if any of them do get pregnant, they must admit to it so that their 3 month waiting period and the husband can that they're divorcing can know about it. That's if you look at it honestly, I did not extract anything from what Orthodox more presented. All I did was show what was on, I didn't screen share, but I read it to you, and I did not imply that it is not all 3 of them, okay? What I said is that the word woman and Ida appear together in 2 different times, and one of them is about and divorce too, and one of them, 654, woman, is implied as not menstruated all the way to ending of menstruation. But the one thing that they do have in common is that they are married women who are getting divorced.
You done? So again, 228, divorced women remain. Again, that's all the divorcing women. Literally all of them in 65:4. Divorced women remain in waiting for 3 periods. And it gives the reason why they're in waiting, bruh. And it is not lawful for them to, again, this is the whole group of divorced women mentioned in 65:4. And it is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs if they believe in Allah on the last day. So again, last time I'm asking this question because I'm done with this ridiculous conversation. Are you saying that a prepubescent child can be pregnant?
The Quran isn't saying that. That is what you are inferring that I am proposing.
If I read the verse the way you're saying, if I read 65:4 the way you're saying it to include prepubescent people and people who are mature, right? Who just haven't menstruated, etc., whatnot, then I have to include the concept of they can get pregnant without sexual intercourse. But what are you talking about?
No, you don't. Because there's women who cannot get pregnant, period. So that wouldn't fit into yours, right? There are women. I don't
disagree.
So then Allah is also directing it towards them, even though there's no purpose of bringing them up in the context because they can't even get married. They're infertile. So then that negates your whole argument.
An infertile person can't get married in the Quran. What are you saying?
No, I'm saying they actually do get married and they become women according to the Quran.
And they still have to wait 3 months just in case, right?
No, yes, they do. But the point that I'm making here is you just said.
Why does the grown woman who doesn't menstruate?
Why does
you just agree that they would have to wait? So why does a grown woman
you
have to wait 3 months?
You just tried to make an example that this is even that I would have to bring that prepubescent girls can get pregnant for this verse to count towards them. And I said that this verse also would imply for women who are infertile, which is
228 only deals with divorcing women, bro.
Which would be the opposite.
Gives the reason why they have to wait.
That would be an opposite spectrum of what the prepubescent argument would be, where neither one of them can get married. Neither one of them can get pregnant, but they still have to follow the rules of the Iddah.
Bruh, are you the first atheist that believes in immaculate conception or what? That's what I'm hearing right now. Because you're telling me that the women.
That's not my argument at all.
You're telling me that the women, right, can be children. I need you to show me that verse anywhere in the Quran, right? I need you to show me that anywhere, right? And I need you to show me where anywhere where prepubescent children can have babies or can be pregnant or can conceal a pregnancy while creating their womb.
These claims. I have not made that.
The moment you're saying 65:4 applies to prepubescent children, you're saying everything from 228 applies to them as well.
Women, according to the two verses where the word woman and Ida of divorce are in the Quran.
So literally, I read one of the verses. I read both verses, and no one doesn't say what you're saying.
Understand this concept that I am bringing forth, that the two times that the word divorce is mentioned and then the word woman or women is right beside it is because they were married getting divorced. After they had sex, they have to wait for the 3-month period. And that the spectrum
Why do they have to wait?
The spectrum of 65:4 starts at not menstruated. And then it goes all the way to that they stopped menstruation. So in these two verses, we have divorce declared as women, okay, and then a spectrum of what a woman is, which is that she's married and that she has to wait if she gets divorced 3 months because she had sex. It doesn't matter if she's prepubescent. And then in the verse that you're bringing up about all that is unlawful for them to conceal, that is just saying that the woman is supposed to always admit when she's pregnant. Now, like I said before, it doesn't matter if a woman is infertile, okay? Even in this logic that you're trying to use, trying to say, can a prepubescent girl get pregnant? So why would the Quran verse be talking about her? Why would the Quran verse also be talking about women who are infertile? Okay, because I've just threw it right back at you. Why would it be talking about them if it's not talking about the other one?
Because in all situations, it's their place right there. It is unlawful to conceal.
In all situations,
when a law is
prepubescent, and that would be.
I was literally answering your question, bro. Go ahead. Go jump in one more time. Go ahead.
So in all situations, that would even be prepubescent. Because because if it's impossible for a prepubescent person to have a child, and it's also impossible for an infertile woman to have a child, then it's all of them. It's the same thing.
So show me where the prepubescent is allowed to get married anywhere in the Quran.
65:4 uses the word divorce and woman, and then it starts the spectrum of not menstruated all the way to stopped menstruating.
So again,
Now,
I'm
this
gonna
is-
leave it. Hold on, I'm gonna say this
this
and leave
is
it here.
how
Hold
Allah
on,
is
I'm gonna say this.
defining women.
I'm gonna say this and leave it here. The whole time he's been saying, well, he's not saying it means it means pubescent, but now he just or prepubescent. Now he's saying 65.4 clearly means that it means prepubescent, right? He's
No.
clearly making that argument.
No,
and so again, hold on. I'm leaving it right here because then it falls right back into my Arabic argument. Why does it not use the Arabic for those who have not yet reached puberty?
So firstly,
You're done out here, bro.
No,
Congratulations.
no.
You're the first atheist confirming the Immaculate Conception, bro.
no, that's ridiculous. Notice what I've done is break it down to the concept of Allah is using a spectrum for people. And you even agreed earlier, Orthodox Moor, that
You're finding out why David
Right.
would try to
He
strike
said
my
that-
channel, bro.
He's even said before, the Orthodox Moor, that it is a guide, okay, and that there are things that are not very specific in the Quran because Allah just wants you to perform them. So if Allah
I didn't
would have
say that.
wanted, if Allah
I didn't say
would have
that.
wanted,
I didn't say that.
just like with prayer, right? Because there is Allah just gives you the fact that you need to pray. He tells you a couple of things that you must do. You must bow, prostrate, recite. Okay.
So we even have to agree that salah means prayer. We're not even there, bro.
I shouldn't even say that.
Wait. Hold up. Pause your argument for a sec. Hey, Mo the Crow, well, go on.
Hey, big up man like Mo the Crow. Salam alaikum, Mahdi.
Well, go on.
What's up, everyone?
What are you telling me?
Telling you what?
Huh?
Telling you what?
I'm saying, what are you telling me, man?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean what I mean? I haven't seen last time you was on there, B.
Nah, bro, don't play around.
Don't play around with what?
Yeah, just relax, really. I just woke up, bro.
I say now, man, carry on your conversation.
Look, yo, you guys are just going at each other, and it's getting annoying, bro. People in the UK are probably sleeping right now. I don't know what time it is over there. That's the truth.
Yeah, anyway, Orthodox Moor, that was a very well good job there, mate. That was quite impressive.
Appreciate that.
He's trolling you, bro. You actually believe that.
No, I think the truth of the matter is you are searching for something. That's why you're so interested in religious texts. I think you need to submit to the will of the Creator and you will find peace, my friend. Why so religious? Submit to the will, you will find peace.
Coming from a non-Muslim, so that's why he's trolling, bro.
Yo,
Bro, I know who he is.
Con,
I know exactly what's going on.
Yo, we obviously know who you are, Con. You have your name in the front. Yo, just don't fuck around. It's easy. It's easy. Damn. All of you guys. Seriously. Don't fuck around. No, but yo, Orthodox Moor.
Yes, sir.
Big up, brother.
Big up, fam. Big up the state of Washington, you know what I'm saying?
Man, that's crazy, huh? It's like 1 right now. 146. Yeah. No, you guys keep going, bro. Keep going with your thing. I'm gonna go take a shower, bro. I just woke up.
Honestly, I don't feel like there's any need to keep going because he's brought what he
Yo,
said
hold
and
on,
I
hold
brought
on.
what I said.
Yo, why so religious? You're the one that's yelling. I don't see it more yelling or anything like that.
He did.
No,
yeah.
I was getting loud.
But I would say
He got a little bit of turn up.
he has his thing, I have my thing, man. And we're not going to agree on it. But if we look at the vast majority of Muslims in the world, true, they follow hadith and Orthodox Moor doesn't. And Quranites don't. But, or Quranists, whichever way you want to say it.
Quranite. I never heard that one before. All right, cool.
That's what, you know, I've
Sam Garrett calls himself a Quranite. I got you. But Quranite is
Sam Garrett. I've
Yeah.
directed you to his channel before.
Yeah, I was saying he says Quranite. You said Quranite. I thought that was just a name.
Oh, okay. But so most arguments do come from using hadith and tafsirs and things like that when it comes down to most Muslims. And you can do it with Shias too. And then when you come with a Quranist or a Quranite, you just focus on what the text says. Now, what I did is I showed my position. He showed his position. And part of it comes down to just what would be interpretation. Now, he'd disagree with that, and that's fine. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere because we both made our points, and other people are going to say yes or no. It just depends on what they feel is who made the better argument. But, you know,
hey, whenever you want to, I'll come on your channel and give the long demonstration that your man David Wood flagged, because the long demonstration leaves
you're always welcome on my channel. And
likewise, that's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah,
I'll come through and kick it.
And y'all don't, just because he and I got after it with each other doesn't mean anything, because he's been on my channel, I've been on his
cool.
channel.
Yeah, we're cool. I'm gonna go on later and listen to read a book in a second. You know what I'm saying? I like the book, by the way, bro. It's a good book.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Awkward silence. Atheist and immaculate conceptions.
It's a masterclass.
Yeah, fair. Let me bring on the homie right quick. What's good, Nagy?
Not much. How you doing, man?
All is well. About to deal with something right quick. So again, why so religious? The good brother, the good atheist brothers in the chat. He cannot jump on at the moment. He has to deal with his son. He's got to go be daddy right quick. All is well with that. But when you got a chance, bro, I would love to come on. I would love to have you come on so we can deal with this topic here. And if you want, you know what I'm saying, you can talk to wifey, man, and we can schedule a actual formal debate on this process on this whole topic and whatnot on Debate Talk for you. It's a religious debate channel and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? We can go get in over there, you know what I'm saying? So no worries.
So what was the topic? What was being discussed?
We were talking about are you familiar with Ali Dawah over at Speaker's Corner?
Not really, but I'm just curious.
He's like a Salafi Dawah person or whatnot that goes over there.
I know what Dawah is. That's where they go out and try to get people to join Islam. But what they mean is they mean join their version of it.
Right. I'm going to turn my joint down right. But yeah.
So you tend to get a very distorted version from these people because they tend to preach the Saudi Arabian-backed version. The one that would have, people turning over cemeteries and doing all kinds of other things.
Mm-hmm. So
and, but what does this guy teach?
So Ali Dawah is a Salafi dude who was getting in a lot of hot water right now for talking about the fact that he thinks that 9-year-olds can be he made a statement to the effect of 9-year-olds being able, I believe he said 9-year-olds can be adults or whatnot. Referring to the age of Aisha and whatnot.
And he's really crazy, but I gotta say he's sticking to the narrative rather well because they believe, because their narration and all kinds of other things say that Aisha was 9 years old, but common sense tells you she was not 9 years old. Common sense says she was at least 18.
Yeah,
and I can explain that a little bit if you're interested.
Go ahead.
There's a different way of understanding how time goes. We have different calendars. We have different ways of tracking time. So when it comes to years, it's no different. You have to look at it that way because they obviously wouldn't have counted the first few years of someone's life. So obviously it would have been from the point that they were, able to walk around to that, things like that, I imagine. So they had a different way of tracking a person's age. So of course, even if she wasn't 18, she was at least, older than 9.
Yeah. So my man Watcher Religious in the chat is asking a couple good questions, right? And this last one is the Immaculate Conception wasn't the point. Why say it then? Right? So the whole reason why I bring that up is because the previous point you were making about I'm going to bring up the Quran verses right quick. Just so everyone can understand what we're talking about right quick. I'm going to bring up the two verses that we were talking about, 65:4 and then 2:28. Because people try to make the claim from the Quran that, you know what, let me do it from my notes because my notes has it better.
When it comes to that, it's actually fairly straightforward because it says that just like Allah created the universe, He could create a person and make it so. So there's no question about that. It's an interesting thing how they explain it because they do a much better job than the people that usually make that claim.
Yeah, let me take this off right quick. Share the screen one more time. So yeah, this is what I was getting into. So we were breaking in, and again, just to be clear, bruh, like I kept asking you, Brother Watson, really just like for reiteration from the Quran. That's why I kept asking you for another verse and another verse because there's only two verses that talk about the iddah, and so we used both verses. And so I needed another one to back up what you were saying because it wasn't in the other verse. So he was talking about, so in 65:4 it says, and those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, if you doubt, then the period is 3 months. And also for those who have not menstruated and for those who are pregnant, the term is until they give birth. And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him of his matter ease. And so there's this term here in Arabic where they're talking about menstruation, and the brother was basically arguing that it's equatable to being prepubescent, and so I break down the fact that this verse is talking about women, and it's not talking about. It says el nasai. It doesn't say el tiflan. It doesn't say children in Arabic or whatnot. And if it wanted to say. They wanted to say those who had not reached puberty yet, they could have said it a whole different way. I'm going to jump around a little bit to Surah 24, ayah 58, where it says, "O you who have believed, let those whom your right hand possess, i.e., those ruled by their oaths to you, and those who have not yet reached puberty among you, ask permission of you before entering it 3 times, before the dawn prayer, and when you put aside your clothing." At noon and after the night prayer, etc., whatnot, right? So it says here that the people who are prepubescent, right? They have to ask permission to go make salat, right? And so there's a specific term for that. Yabluhu el hulama minkum, right? Or lam yabluhu, excuse me, not reach puberty among you, right? And so it doesn't use that Arabic in 65:4. It says, and not they menstruated or not menstruated. And so to bring complete clarity as to why it says menstruated versus puberty is in 2:28, where it's the other verse talking about the iddah or the waiting period. So again, it's talking about divorced women again, not children or not tiflan. Or not el hulama, right? Women or girls who have not yet reached puberty, etc., whatnot, right? It says divorced women remain in waiting for 3 periods, and it is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs if they believe in Allah on the last day. So he was making the argument that this does not cover all the groups of women in 65:4, because I specify in this that it's covered. Like 65:4 is talking about 3 types of women: women who are menopausal, women who are pregnant, and women who are potentially pregnant but have not menstruated yet, right? And he could even and he's like, no, it's talking about women who don't have the ability to menstruate, i.e., it's talking about prepubescent girls. And the way he's saying it, it would have to cover prepubescent girls, and it would have to cover women who cannot menstruate, period, right? At all, right? And so
yeah, and you know what's worse about that? The worst thing is this guy is desperately trying to agree with the people who are pushing that 9-year-old narrative, and it's really messed up. It's like, I don't get why people are so hard on that. It's actually easier to believe that she was 16, 17, 18. I mean, I'd rather believe that.
Well, so that, bro, that's what I get in. Like, here's my thing, right? If you're gonna talk about the hadith, you got to cite all of them. You can't just cite the Sunni hadith. You got to cite the Shia hadith and all them type of things, right?
Yeah, and there's a bunch.
Particularly. What was that?
There's a whole bunch. There's
Yeah.
some that don't even make sense because they sound like fortune cookie. You know,
Right.
but yeah.
But they say that. But they so even the Sunnis say that Ali was among the four rightly guided caliphs or whatnot. Like, so how would you not take? How would you at least not take his hadith, right? Like, it doesn't even make any sense, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. But you know, these people want that girl to be 9 years old so bad. It's like
Right.
it disturbs me.
I'm with that. No, I'm with that. But why So Religious was trying to break down why they're making the claim that it's okay, because he's going into the top seer and they're trying to claim that this verse is saying something that it's not saying, right? So I'm making the argument that 228 lines up with 65:4 in the sense that it's talking about all the groups of women and why they have to wait 3 months, period, right? And it's saying that they have to wait 3 months because it is unlawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs, right? So, for instance, and this is what, like, I made the argument to him, so if he's trying to say that the not menstruating part has to deal with women who can't menstruate at all and prepubescent girls, then he would have to agree that 228 is also stipulating that they can get pregnant too, right? Like, so including a prepubescent girl, which is not possible, right? It's not possible for a prepubescent girl to get pregnant. So, like, there'd be nothing to conceal, right? For a woman who's never menstruated before, she gotta wait 3 months. No, there's no one exempt from the 3 month waiting period in 228. There's no one exempt. But yeah, that was the basic argument.
That kind of knocks it out. But you know, it's one of those things that I really wish people would let go. But as long as the dominant Islam in the world is the one that says she was 9, we're gonna have to keep putting up with this. They never go this hard with anything else. It's never the one about China, or for wisdom go all the way to China or whatever. It's like it's this one they love so much. I hate it because it's an old tired thing that they love beating on, and there's other things like violence. They go, oh, see, they say fight them until they don't fight you anymore, and what that really means is, you know, if they put their hands up, you're supposed to stop fighting. You can't kill them at that point. But there's so many things that people don't understand that they just stretch out, you know.
Big up to my man Ahmed in the chat, aka the Somali Maverick, aka Maverick X. You can see him on Somali speakers consistently shutting down the Sunnis and the Salafis in the park about why he doesn't deal with the Hadith and the so-called Sunnah and all them things there. Oh my man, why? Oh my man, is it okay? Everyone's showing up right now. Everyone's showing up right now. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, brother man.
Peace, my brother from another mother. How you doing, bro?
You know what it is, man. You know what tripped me out the other day? I recognized we got the same beard style, bro.
You done know. That's how it is, bro. Great minds think alike, B.
I know that's right, bro. Man, you've been knocking him down at the park lately, bro. It's getting too easy with it, bro. It's getting too easy for you at the park, bro.
Oh, is this the guy that actually confronts these people?
Oh yeah, this is my man. Yeah, this is Somali Ahmed, bro. Like he be
cool.
getting down. This is Somali Maverick. You know what I'm saying? He be getting it in.
I mean, it's awesome to meet you. But what do you do? What is Speaker's Corner? Is it a place where anyone can come and speak their mind?
Yeah, it's just a place where people, you know, just share their ideas.
So you're not worried about any of these Salafi guys, are you? They're the ones that literally believe that, you know, you can go out and kill people.
Nah, I'm not worried about them, man. It is what it is, you know. When it's your time to go, you will go.
Okay, that's fair enough. I just think that's kind of, those guys have me a little concerned because you never know, where their religion comes from.
But it comes down to obviously being concerned about what they could be up to, and allowing people to hijack the deen of God, didn't it? I'm not prepared to allow them to hijack the deen, bro. They've completely hijacked it.
Of course, and that's the really crazy thing because they're teaching something that's contingent on religious belief and observance, when if you read the actual source material, it's nothing like that.
Their whole religion is not in the Quran. The
Uh-huh,
whole religion.
exactly. That's the funny thing.
But sorry to interrupt you. I came because I was really, I'm really annoyed by this verse that even Muhammad Hijab has abused it, and he claimed that the Quran allows pedophilia. So it's not, we're not only dealing with non-Muslims here, we're dealing with supposed Muslims as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know, I have especially strong feelings about, you know, I'm against pedophilia in every form possible.
Of course.
I've been accused of it by an ex-friend of mine, which kind of makes me a little angry, but you know,
Sorry
that
to hear
doesn't matter. The thing is, I'm against it, and when I hear people try to use that against Islam, it's irritating because I know deep down that that couldn't be true because the man that they accuse of doing that wouldn't have done that.
No one who has read the Quran can possibly come to that conclusion, because it goes against everything that the Quran teaches. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
of
saying?
course,
You
because
couldn't
that feels
come to
like
that
something they
conclusion.
would have done in the pagan era, if you know what I'm talking about, the Jahiliyyah.
Exactly. But guys, I just want to chop up this verse with you guys because I don't know. I'm starting to think people must be illiterate. Like there must be a serious case of illiteracy going on in this planet, because what the hell is that?
You want me to share screen for you? Put a verse up
What
there
is
for you.
that?
That's your channel, right quick. I'm putting your YouTube channel for people to see right quick. So
That's all good. That's all good.
I'll go over there and
subscribe to my
subscribe.
man right quick, Maverick. You know what I'm saying? X, he just consistently, him and Somali speakers down below. You know what I'm saying? I'll put Maverick X in the link in the description box and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, go check him out because they be shutting
Bro,
cast down.
I'm just waiting for a laptop now. Once I get, I'm telling you, it's game over for a lot of people. I'm not only gonna, deal with the Salafis, but I'm also gonna deal with that gin and tonic show, because they're completely, every day they're just releasing videos about Islam that are completely
Bro, whenever you want to go
I'm saying?
tag team the gin and tonic, I got you, son.
Bro, I know you got me, bro. We're gonna tag team them without a doubt. I'm basically, I'm gonna make sure they have no material whatsoever. That's my target.
I'm with it.
Quickly, let's address this thing about the women that you want to divorce, women that you suspect may have reached their menopause, and then it says if you doubt. Yeah. So the topic of the verse is about women who you suspect may have reached their menopause. That is the topic of the verse. This is something that people forget all the time. And then it says, if you doubt. So once there is a doubt, there is two possibilities at minimum. Right? Is that fair? If there is a doubt, there is at minimum two possibilities. Any less than that, it wouldn't be classed as a doubt, would it?
Yeah, facts.
Okay, cool.
Either somebody's pregnant or they're not. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So what happens is it gives two scenarios as per the doubt. So it says if it says if you doubt 3 months. So if you doubt that she's reached her menopause, then it's 3 months. And then it says if she has not menstruated, 3 months. So when it says if she has not menstruated, it's just the other possibility of the doubt. It's still referring to a woman who you suspect may have reached her menopause. That's not changed. Do you get it?
100%.
Why are people struggling to understand that?
Bro, here's what I don't understand is like, so
I'm confused.
Yeah, like, so if Allah wanted to include prepubescent girls in the verse, he literally could have said that. There's, like I said, like, so when you go into the word by word, right? In 65:4, can you see my screen? So it says lam yahidna, right? Not menstruated, right? Cool. Like, so if it wanted, if Allah wanted to say those who had not reached puberty yet, he could have said so. And that was my whole point, because I bring up insert, because again, we deal with the concept like that the Quran reiterates itself or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And so, hold on, what was it? Was it in 2458? I think that's what it was. Oh, did way too much. Go back.
Are you guys talking? Because I can't hear anything.
You can't hear me?
Okay, let me get out and come back.
Can y'all hear me at all? Negi, can you hear me? Negi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, cool.
Oh, yeah, I see what's on the screen. Yeah.
Okay. Why is it tripping out? There we go. $24.58. So this is a verse where, again, those who have not reached puberty have to go ask for permission to go make salat, right? So if it wanted to say those who have not reached puberty, it says lem yablughu el hulma minkum, those who have not reached puberty among you. It does not use that Arabic anywhere in Surah 65 ayat 4. And again, to the point of what the brother was saying, hold on, he's probably in the back trying to get in. There we go. And to the point to what the brother was saying is that so in Surah 2 ayat 228, this is where you get the clarity, because there's only two verses that talk about the iddah. There's only two verses, right? And so the other verse that gives the reiteration from the Quran, like it says, it literally gives the reason why, the whole reason why there's a waiting period, which talks about what the brother was saying. If you are in doubt, right? And let me just go to the English right quick. It says, divorced women remain in waiting for 3 periods, and it is not lawful for them, and this is the whole reason, and it is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs if they believe in Allah on the last day. Having to do with that doubt, like the brother was talking about. Like, so if there's a possibility that they're pregnant, this is the waiting period.
To prove what you're saying even further, even in the same verse, the second woman in question is a woman that's pregnant. So it's always talking about pregnancy. That's all it's talking about.
Fact. Because if a woman is found to be pregnant, the man is obligated to do certain things. Hence, it's unlawful to conceal it.
Exactly. It's so simple and straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is? It's people are basically they don't have much critique when it comes to the Quran. So they're desperate. They're looking for anything that they think sounds out there, like, ooh, pedophilia. Ooh. They just look, they're desperate, bro. It's the only way to explain this.
Or violence. They try to make it sound like they strap some bombs to you and go running into a battle.
Oppressing women and shit.
Yeah, beating women, divorcing them after you've given them a good few licks. You know, we're all in the book right there.
Right. Right.
Of course, I don't believe that. I'm just saying that because that's what some people would have you believe, but it's all nonsense.
Yeah. It's great, but they're saying that you need the hadith that contradict themselves to make the Quran make sense, because you can't read the Quran and have it make sense, even though the Quran makes the claim that there's reiteration within itself.
And you know what's crazy about that? That's like saying you need the Talmud to understand the Torah.
Facts.
Yeah, but guys, there's a reason why they're saying that, and that's because if you pay attention, the Quran is a universal message. They can't use it to create an us and them. That's what they don't like about the Quran.
100%.
Yeah, it's not really just addressed. If it was just for Arabs, that would make sense, but it's not. It's not addressed just to Arabs.
Put it this way, yeah. The other day I was thinking to myself, if I was to question people, let's put the belief of God to aside for a second. If we were to talk about the laws that the Quran promotes, the things that it tells you to watch out from, and the things that it tells you to do, I guarantee you will not find a single person on earth that can say that these laws are not universal. There's nothing in the Quran that's not universal. Think about it. The one that we would discuss right now about a woman possibly being pregnant in the event of divorce. How is that not universal? I'm guarantee you, universally, everyone wants to know before there is a divorce whether that child belongs to them or not. Is that not true?
Mm-hmm. Fact.
Okay, talk about the separation before divorce. Is that not universally true?
In the sense of,
like, to basically to get a period of separation before the divorce is finalized.
See, it would make sense universally. People don't do it universally, but it would make sense universally. Like, so when I read these rules, I'm like, man, I would like. So when you think about it, right, they're talking about like a full 7-month period, right? Like 4 months that you separate from the bed, and then 3 months potentially if she's pregnant, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Potentially, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like the fail safes involved with that for everybody involved.
Exactly.
For everybody involved, like when you're saying universally, that's what I'm hearing, right? Like there's fail safes for everybody on all sides, right?
Exactly.
Like for the potential child, for the potential father, and the potential mother, right? No one's getting left out of this, right? No one's getting overlooked, right?
Even the relationship is getting a second chance.
Facts.
So there's nothing in the Quran that anyone can tell me is not universal. Even when the war, what's it called again? To basically to not transgress. Everyone agrees to that. When it comes to prisoners of war, to only basically hold prisoners of war for as long as the duration of the war, and not any longer than that. That's universal. There's nothing in the Quran that is not universal. Unless you guys could tell me.
Nah, man. So I don't know if you caught it, but earlier, my man, the homie Vegeta came through and left me a comment on a video I made responding to you and Shamsi talking about the Quran alone and whatnot, where he was backing up from all your questions about him proving the so-called sunnah from the Quran and whatnot, right? And so in my response to Shamsi and whatnot, I was breaking down like 1746 and whatnot, where it literally does say Il Qur'ani waqtahu. Literally says that in the Quran and whatnot. And so,
yeah, I remember you told me I should have mentioned that verse. I forgot, man. You're right.
No, I told people why you didn't though, because I was like, man, because I've seen you debate a million times, and I was like, I've seen you use that verse before. I was like, like. No,
but you know my style, and I don't like letting anything slide.
Exactly, that's what I was saying. I was like, he doesn't give up anything he doesn't have to, unless like, so if you prove a claim, then he matches you. But if you don't prove a claim, he's just like, bro, he's just keeping the cards close to the chest. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is.
100%. You know me very well, bro. You got that spot on.
Yeah, so that's why I made that video, right? And so I made the video, and then man, like I got a decent amount of views on it, and whatnot. And then Vegeta came through. I ain't seen Vegeta in forever, bro. And he was like, "Okay, let's get it in." You know, so he cracked his knuckles and like left me the longest response in the game, right? And he actually, bro, like, man, he actually. If you haven't seen the video, hold on, I'll show you right quick, because I just made the video this morning responding to it. But man, he actually gave like he gave like a Quranist response. He went to every time that waqtahu was used in the Quran, and he was like, yeah, this has to do with the oneness of Allah. And I was like, okay, I got you. I hear what you're saying. I was like, but I'm not making the argument based upon context. I'm making the argument based upon language. I was like, so yes. Like it literally says. I was like, so I broke it down to where whenever waqtahu is used, hold on right quick. That whenever waqtahu is used with the law, that like, so there's a verb, like you're mentioning Allah or you're worshiping Allah or something like that. Like, so there's a verb, then Allah, and then waqtahu. So there's the verb, the proper noun, then the modifier, right? And so in the verse that he was talking, like in 1746, it doesn't work like that, right? It says, and I'll show it to you right quick. Hold on. Because he even cited a verse which was a cold piece. He was like, "No, man, see, 1746 is just like Surah 39 something. I was like, cool, got you. Yeah, 39:45. They're saying the same thing. I was like, cool, got you. Watch how they're not saying the same thing. Oh, I gotta find it. But like again, it's a language game, bro. Like,
no, it is a language. You know what? Furthermore, it's funny you say that, yeah. You know the whole Quran only, Hadith, all of that, blah blah blah. Really and truly, once I've researched this thing, honestly, it comes down to literacy. It comes down to language.
yeah.
That's literally all it comes down to.
So watch this, right? So in 1746, it says وَإِذَا ذَكَرْتَ رَبَّكَ فِي الْقُرْآنِ وَحْدَهُ, right? So and when you mention your Lord in the Quran alone, that's what it says in the direct word by word.
Yeah.
And so
They flee.
right. So he tried to say, no, man, like 1746 is just like 39:45. I was like, cool. Let's check it out right quick. So 39:45 says وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ إِلَهُ وَحْدَهُ. So it's saying literally the same thing, mentioning, and it's the same word, dhukra and the karta, right? Same word, right? Allahu wahdahu. So you got the verb, you get the proper noun, and then you get the modified, right? And so if I apply that to 1746, it doesn't work the same, bro. So I get the karta, I get you mentioned, I get the verb, rabaka, I get your Lord, the proper noun. But now check it out. It's saying fi il Qur'ani wahdahu.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, bro. Like the language is clear. If it wanted this, man, I got a whole nother, like I got another proof for him, but I'm waiting for the round 3. You know what I'm saying?
But brother, I got another one, man. I got one the one that they could never handle. Literally, never ever handle it. But the language is irrefutable. You know this idea of alcohol being haram?
Yeah.
Bullshit. Watch this now, yeah?
Oh, I'm interested now.
Watch
Come
this
on.
now, yeah? If you go to chapter 590.
19 or 90?
I think it's 590 where it talks about the intoxication, gambling, and all of that.
Okay.
This is actually very interesting to me because that's one thing that I've kind of thought funny is that you'll hear about Muslims drinking alcohol.
Yeah, so here you go. All you have believed, indeed, intoxicants, gambling, sacrificing on stone altars to other than Allah, and divining arrows are but defilement from the work of Satan. So avoid it that you may be successful.
Okay, Brother Moore, notice that it says avoid it. It doesn't say avoid them. It says avoid it. If it was referring to intoxications, gambling is a false translation, but let's just go with the flow for now. Intoxications, gambling, altars, and divining arrows. If it was referring to those 4, it would have said avoid them.
Them. Facts.
Do you see what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
So
and just so everyone can see, all the English translations are saying it.
They're all saying it. They're all saying it. It's not
saying
even an argument.
Yeah.
So now the it linguistically can only apply to the defilement. Now watch this, because arrows themselves are not evil. However, if you use them for sorcery purposes, then you have defiled it. Do you get it?
Wow.
So
And
that is what you avoid. You avoid the defilement.
Yeah, and you can't even play because the it is there. It's saying it's
So when it comes to intoxication, it would basically apply to the drunkard stage where you're no longer aware of anything.
Right, where you pass the balance.
It wouldn't be exactly. It wouldn't be defilement before that. So linguistically speaking, there is no way that it can refer to alcohol.
So in other words, if you drink in moderation, you're okay. If you don't get drunk,
it would have to be that if we're gonna accept the verse as it is, because the verse specifically says it. And then again, because the Quran always corroborates itself. So you have two other verses where it talks about intoxication, or let's say alcohol. It says there is good in it and there is bad in it. So the bad outweighs the good. So we all know that, you know, the bad of it can have way more effect than the good of it. So if someone is drunk, they can cause a lot more. The negative effects could be a lot more influential than the positive effects of it. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it would not call it positive in any way, shape, or form if it was completely forbidden. Do you see what I'm saying to you? The only way to stay consistent with the other verse that says that alcohol has good in it and bad in it, the only way to stay consistent with it is by when you apply this verse, that it can only apply to the defilement. And you can't really argue against that because arrows themselves are not problematic. It's only problematic once it's used for sorcery. Altars themselves are not problematic. It's only problematic once it's used for, you know, associating partners with God and stuff like that. Same with intoxication. Tipsy doesn't cause much, but drunk is another level. And
yeah, that makes that. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And even then, it's not even too problematic because God says it creates hatred and enmity amongst yourselves. So it's not that you do. It's not that God is bothered. He's telling you what effects that it has, and then once you get to those effects, once you display those effects, hatred and enmity, then you will be held accountable for it on Judgment Day because God told you what it can do. So that is what you avoid. You avoid the hatred and enmity. The defilement is that. Go on, guys.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting take, and it's one you never hear almost. But yeah, so moderation.
You will never hear it.
So you gotta have moderation in that. You gotta be careful. You know your limits.
Bernie Bay on the panel. What's good, brother, man? So just to confirm what you're saying, I'm looking at Surah 4:43 right quick. And so it's talking about, this is the verse where it talks about like, oh, you have believed, do not approach.
Gambling and all that. Huh?
What was that?
Bernie Bay, what it do, what it does. Peace and blessings, my brother.
What up? Peace. Happy Saturday, everyone. Shabbat shalom for my Israelites out there. So what's that? Yeah, Muhammad Hijab and them like 9-year-olds and stuff, huh?
Oh man, bruh.
I don't want to start that over again. But yeah, when he said go with the flow, I was like, oh man, you can't say that after you had that discussion. You can't say go with the flow after that.
Can you imagine now you're having a speaker's corner conversation, then one of those guys, Shamsi and them, just kind of walks up and they go, hey, is this your daughter?
Man.
Yeah, I'd like to date your daughter. You'd be like, yeah, there ain't gonna be no way.
They, oh, hey, is that your daughter? Hey, nice to no, this is actually my wife, bro. It's like, oh.
But see, that's the whole point, right? Is these cats are keeping up a tradition they wouldn't even follow, bro. And if they did follow it, bro, like it, man.
Oh, some of them do. You got to keep in mind, but they're not going after the 9-year-olds. They're going after.
Yeah, but like, so I don't sincerely believe that Ali Dawah believes that like 6 and 9-year-olds are cool to get with, right? I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form, right? I feel like he's just upholding a tradition because he feels like he's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like I've seen him like debate Sarah Garvey and be like, oh yeah, like Muhammad split the moon with his finger. Like he was just going down, like because that's what he was told. You feel me? Not what he understood, but what he was told to repeat. You know what I'm saying? That's his tradition that he rocks with.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but when I heard that, the first thing I thought of was, is he Goku?
Man, I was just thinking about a lunar event. You know what I'm saying?
Is Muhammad supposed to be Goku? Anyway, that just sounds super strange. I don't think I can. Where did they get that from?
Again, from Hadith and Tafsir and whatnot.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Everything seems to be in there. It's like that's the ultimate cop-out.
Yeah, most Christians attack Islam by using the hadiths.
Oh yeah, that's the funny thing. Isn't that funny?
It's literally equivalent to the Talmud in the relation.
Yeah, I
to
know.
the
That's what I brought up. I brought up that if I could read the Torah without the Talmud, then I believe a person could read the Quran without the hadith, which is much bigger than the Talmud. If you've ever looked at it, I used to be in this one internet relay chat for Islam, and they'd have a bot that would quote hadith every few minutes, and you'd see Sahih Buhari, you'd see Sahih Islam, all these other ones, and you'd see quotations after quotations, and it would just be like weird because I could never understand how someone could go and read through those collections without feeling a little bit silly.
Yeah, literally, just like yeah, I heard some either Hebrew fellow or something say that when Yahweh created, Hova created the cosmos and everything, and including the Torah, he used the Talmud.
Oh yeah.
What? I heard that like a year or two ago. Like
someone saying that Yahweh used the Talmud. Yeah, sorry, hard pass from me.
That's crazy. Okay, I never heard that one before. But we're in the age of interesting doctrines. You know what I'm saying?
Well, scriptures say with every prophet came soothsayers, giving their own interpretation, and hey, look at me, and they become political leaders, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, they just go nuts,
Yeah, that's why I brought in my demo to Vegeta. What you were saying about those verses about those who were dispersed via the when they disbelieve, they turn away from Allah, that Allah gives them hadith and they get dispersed and whatnot. Like, yeah, that's why I brought that up in my rebuttal to Vegeta, because like he was talking about the concept of 1746, where it talks about the Quran wahdahu, or the Quran alone. He was like, no, that's referring to the oneness for Allah, because they're talking to polytheists and whatnot. And I was like, well, the reason why they're talking to polytheists is the very same reason why it's talking about the Quran alone in this particular instance, because it's talking about reciting the Quran over and over again in this chapter and whatnot. And it's talking about reciting the Quran to these people. And so if they have their own hadith that they're holding on to, and those hadith are making them polytheists or whatnot, or keeping them in the polytheist game. Like, this is the whole reason why you're reciting the Quran alone, because the Quran alone is what's talking about the oneness of Allah. There is no recitation in the Quran of some other hadith other than the Quran itself.
Yeah, it makes Islam look so new, because if everything they say, oh, it's the religion of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, then where is their hadith? Where
Facts, because the Quran is saying that it's a consistent way that hasn't changed. So if you're trying to say that Muhammad has a hadith, then literally every prophet mentioned in the Quran has a hadith. So where's their books at, bro?
Right. Then they go, oh, well, he's the best example of following Islam. Oh, wait, the Quran says there's no distinction between either messenger.
Not only that, but in 64 it talks about Abraham and his followers are an example in the same manner. It uses the same Arabic.
Yeah, Muhammad was even told to follow the religion of Abraham. So if he's the best example,
right,
he could be the best. Oh, he's the best maybe because he followed the religion of Abraham.
So when you get into the followers of Abraham, right, like you get into everybody who, like you're talking about eventually you get into everyone who was circumcised and everyone in his house and all the type of stuff, right? So you're talking about like Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, you know what I'm saying, Midian, you know what I'm saying, all that, like it covers the whole.
You want to hear something kind of funny?
Go ahead.
There's one thing that says that Adam was like some incredible height. He was a big dude according to.
Yeah, he was like a giant. Yeah.
And that's the absolute craziest thing. You can't get away from that stuff unless you go by.
Nah, man. The one is where they talk about him being the color of wheat.
Oh, wheat.
Oh yeah.
Like,
when the
gold,
mud dried,
golden brown. Did he giggle when he got poked?
I don't even know, bro. I can't even call it.
Pillsbury dough man. Pretty
much, yeah.
Anyway,
something
that's it. That's what I was thinking of. But it's just weird because there's so many things that get attributed to Islam. It's like you never know which one is. Well, you do know, but it's just hard because there's all kinds of misinfo.
Nah, but here's what I'm saying. Shout out to all you Christian men. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to like people like Hatoun and like Jay Smith, who are afraid to engage Quranists, because I've seen what happened. I saw historically what happened when they engaged Quranists. They got smacked up. I see why y'all avoid us. I see like why people like David Wood strike my channel but won't debate me. Literally turning down debates on modern day debates when they're offered to them and whatnot.
Oh yeah, because they can't use that little loophole. They can't
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, let's go to Sahih Buhari, and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, never mind, I don't ascribe to that.
Shout out
I
to men
didn't.
like Modine. Buhari's a liar. Anyway,
Yeah,
but
that guy's got a funny name
Yeah.
though. But I'll.
You guys just looking for soft targets.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly. But here's what I'm saying. Like, so what the Christians just did is they forced the Muslims into their first ever age of textual criticism, right? Like, so they're pointing out that like the people who make the claim that the Quran will be perfectly preserved letter for letter, word for word, and all that type of stuff, which is not a claim made in the Quran, right? It makes a whole different claim and whatnot. It even talks about the Book of Allah, right? Like, which is a whole other concept, right? Bottom line is like the Muslims make the claim like that their book is perfectly preserved and that's why it's superior to the Bible and other books because they've been changed and tampered with, etc., whatnot. Well, now they're finding out that they have varying Qurans and whatnot, so they have to go compare and contrast to what's going on and whatnot. And so that it literally like it opened up a door that the Quranists get to kick open because when you talk about textual criticism, that's literally what we do. We go back to this text and be like, okay, what is it saying word for word in the Arabic? I don't like, because a lot of these dudes, it's tripping me out because a lot of these dudes, these Muslims are arguing from the English translations. They don't even know what the Arabic is saying. Like, that's why Muhammad Hijab, like the Muhammad Hijab, right? He's known for his Arabic in the park, right? That's one of the things that he like boasts about is how good his Arabic is, right? But like, so he literally like Ahmed said, like he tries to make the claim that Surah 65 ayah 4, if you didn't have the hadith, you would have to say it permits prepubescent girls and whatnot. When I just showed via the Arabic, it's not even possible. There's a whole other phraseology you use to include prepubescent girls, and it's not there. But yeah, that's me. I digress. That's me going on a diatribe for a second. Go ahead, fam.
No, yeah, I agree. They only anyone, it seems like, to cause confusion. They use the language that the scripture wasn't even brought in, respectfully. And that would go for the Torah, the Bible too. Just if you're gonna go English, then you will always be confused. You will never understand it, And I would tell people would go, oh well, you're telling me I can't use English and get salvation? This is my response. This is Bernard. This is Bernie's way of breaking it down. I say the salvation compared to another language, compared to the original language it was brought in, is kind of like equivalent to eating a meal bar, or eating like a Pop-Tart or, like a power bar, those meal replacement drinks. Now, you'll get full, you'll live, you'll get a nice amount of nutrients, those insured drinks.
Right.
But it's nothing like mama's cooking. It's nothing like, it's nothing like them beans and cornbread.
Yeah, and I can say this, as someone who likes languages and other cultures, you need that dimension when it comes to certain things, and especially when it's something as important as that.
Yeah, just like use the letter M as an example. In English, M is just that. It's the letter M, and it makes the sound ma or But in Hebrew, you have mem, and it's not just the sound, mem or it also has a number ascribed to it. The number 40, it's a pictograph, related to it in the Paleo Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken. It has a picture of water, and what's the language we're doing? Swahili. Water in Swahili is maji, begins with the letter M,
Jumbo.
So a lot more to that, yeah.
Who jumbo?
And it also says, I think Moses, he also represented that number 40. It begins with that letter, which he's splitting water, so you don't reach maturity, a full maturity, until you're at the age of 40. You see what I mean? So see how much deeper it went in, but with English, it's just M.
And with English, there's a lot of things that don't really communicate effectively from the original. Like words that have acrostic meaning, if you've ever seen that.
Break it down.
Where when you look at each letter stands for a word. So you have you can even do that, all over the Tanakh. It's crazy. And you even have when you go, with the first word, the first letter of each word in a sentence, and you can find, things in that. So it's crazy. It's like there's so many hidden things that people will never notice if they stick to just English.
Exactly. Hey, so Bernie, so this is what I was breaking down from the Arabic or whatnot. Where like if they wanted to say like a prepubescent girl in 65:4, they got a specific way of literally saying that, right? So instead of saying not reach puberty, yamlabluhu el hulama minkum, right? Not reach puberty, those who have not reached puberty among you. You know what I'm saying? It says them yahidna, like not menstruated. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't like so. And again, talking about like what Ahmed was talking, like if you're in doubt, you know what I'm saying, that they might be pregnant, that the waiting period is 3 months. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was trying to tell, like why so religious? I was like, bro, like, are you trying to tell me like that a prepubescent girl can get pregnant? Like that's not even like physically possible.
Hey, McQueen had a quick question.
Yeah, Islam, sis, how you living?
All right. The question I had was how come Israelites don't study the how come some Israelites don't uphold the New Testament as they do the Old?
Because some, like the Torah only Israelites, they consider the New Testament to be a fabrication. Like so,
I can actually answer this one for whoever was asking that because it's an easy answer.
Go
Some
ahead.
people would say that it has to do with a discontinuation of what they see as like the book's theme, which is its language. So when the language changes, many things change. The culture changes, and there's things you start to notice that don't make sense. So like there's a consistently Middle Eastern theme throughout the Tanakh. Once you get out of that, then you get into another person's culture. So, if anything, that's one reason.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get into it like this. Like so, basically, to kind of touch on what Negi was talking about in the sense, like so, the New Testament is typically a Greek text, right? And the way Christians make claims from it, the claims they make do not line up with the Old Testament. So, for instance, in the New Testament, this is the claims. I'm not saying this is what the book says. This is what claims the Christians make. They claim that a man died for the sins of the world or whatnot, and so that's not something that would be lawful in the Old Testament. So they reject that concept or whatnot.
I see. Okay.
Things like that, you know what I'm saying? And it's basically more so based upon the claims of the Christians and what's actually in the book itself. Because typically, you'll find Torah only people like, yeah, you know what? Like they'll actually read the New Testament. They just like they don't confirm it as a scripture because of how the Christians use it.
I see. Okay.
So Taiba, it's kind of Orthodox. It's kind of similar to like what we were talking about, how the Jews, why they don't accept Jesus as a Messiah because the interpretation of what people were saying that Jesus was God. So they're like, oh, well, since you believe it, I just don't. And it's like, no, they should have just looked at the scripture itself.
Right.
They believed in man, what he
Right.
had to say about it other than what the book said itself.
Right.
No, I see now. I completely understand.
They let some people throw them off.
And what's interesting, sis, is like, so no Torah only person that I know, none of them have an issue with the way I talk about the New Testament from like a Torah and a Quran perspective. Because like Quranic Jesus, the Jesus from the Quran, for instance, right? He didn't die for everyone's sins.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't trip on when I talk about the New Testament. Like they're like, cool, yeah, whatever, man. Like when they hear other people talk about it, they're like, oh man, they see it a whole different way. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm gonna follow that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And wasn't it like it was a couple places in the New Testament? I'm not exactly sure where though. It was a couple places where it even spoke on the commandment that we were given, which was to love, just to simply love each other as love ourselves as we love our neighbors, or love our
And
neighbors.
that's found in the Old Testament as well. Moses says the same thing in the Old Testament. And that's why Jesus or Isa he says basically that that the law and the prophets hang upon those 2 points.
Huh. I learned something new. All right then.
And really, like, so in a lot of ways, when you compare the teachings of Jesus to the teachings of David, for instance, right, you're going to get the same concepts and whatnot. So there you'll find that the Torah only people will rely on David the same way that a Christian will rely on Jesus.
Mm.
And like me, I grew up reading Proverbs every day. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm cool with it. Like I saw Jesus and David as this like as a very similar concept and whatnot growing up. So like for me, I can navigate both concepts pretty well. When I talk to Christians, I let them know like, hey man, I don't deal with like a vampire salvation concept. Like I don't. Y'all got the New Testament looking like a horror movie. Don't even recognize it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are drinking somebody's blood. You're eating their flesh. All them type of things.
And you want to hear what's kind of strange about that?
What's that?
You know, ultimately where that comes from, that idea?
Draco?
No. I'm talking about where they get that Last Supper thing. That comes from the Essenes. You know, the Essenes created that essentially because they couldn't sacrifice animals anymore. So they had to keep the idea alive.
Well, you can see okay, so even in the Torah and in the with Melchizedek, he just did like a bread and wine offering, right?
Yes.
And even in the Torah, right, you still get the same concept where like if I'm going to make a sin offering, right, and I don't have like the appropriate animals in the whole list that they give.
Yeah,
I can just bring flour. That's why so for all my people in the New Testament, right, when they see Jesus going into the temple and he sees that the poor are being sold doves and all kind of stuff to have like a minimum sacrifice. Like they got to pay to be able to make the sacrifice. You can't even afford to be poor.
Somebody profited off of that.
Yeah, that's when he starts flipping tables and snatching ass like my pop says. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's a good little bit. But
a lot of people don't recognize that it goes back to the fact, like, so in the temple, if you can't afford, if you can't bring an animal, you're supposed to be able to bring flour or whatnot. And here's the thing about that. So I'm supposed to, so if you understand the gleaning laws of the Torah or whatnot, I'm supposed to be able to go to the edges of somebody's field. If I'm poor, right, glean their field, go to the threshing house, get it turned into flour and bring it into to the temple, all for free. But like, so Jesus walked into the temple and saw that like that service wasn't being performed anymore. That's why he was talking about the tithe not being followed properly and all kind of stuff, right? He was like, oh, word. He walked in, it's like you're charging the poor for being poor right now.
Yeah, that's something he didn't feel very
in my father's house, he flipped out.
Yeah, and with good reason, but
on cats, you know what I'm saying?
And it's kind of funny. It's so funny, but yeah, going back to that, people forget that there were so many things other than animal sacrifice, which wasn't even commanded. That was a thing that was adapted into it.
David says such. He's like, bro. He's like, you don't want these sacrifices. He said the sacrifices of the Most High is a contrite heart and a broken spirit and a contrite heart.
And I can take that one step further. You know, it's crazy. That's not the only practices that were pagan in origin, but were taken and given a new coat of paint, so to speak.
I'm cool with the whole breaking of the bread thing.
I mean, that is.
I see that in the previous scripture. I don't even got an issue with that, right?
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, is that people think all these things were new innovations. They were old things given a new reason for being.
But again, so like I don't even trip on it. Like, so you can see where literally David does the same thing, right? Where he actually gives out wine and bread to people. Like, people don't even recognize that in the Torah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, in the concept of him being a priest right after the order of Melchizedek or whatnot, like, I see him doing the same thing that Melchizedek was doing, David, right? And I see even in the New, like, so with me in the New Testament, I confirm it, right? However, I don't confirm the idolatry that the Christians say is there. I mean, like, when we get into the language, they can't show me.
Yeah.
Even in the Greek, they can't show me. That's the cold part.
Oh yeah. Here's the funny thing. You know Constantine, right?
Facts.
And if you ask most people, they would say Constantine was a Christian, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing that kills that. Do you know when he got baptized?
Deathbed conversion.
On his deathbed, yes, on his deathbed. And that's the funny thing. He did all these things to help make Christians not, get arrested or whatever it was. He helped them not be persecuted, but he waited that long. My question is, was it a political move or was it,
I mean, obviously, bro. Like, so when you look at the times of what was going on at Rome and whatnot, there was all kind of beef popping off that had to get settled and controlled and all them type of things and whatnot. But yeah, that's the politics of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's so funny because those people, they got off, they got left alone after a while, but then the people that got the renewed persecution were the people following the Torah. How funny.
Yeah. Like, so what I find to be interesting is in like the Moorish period, that this is when you get like the rise of like the Karaites and whatnot, to where like they actually get a place to go kick it for a while. You know what I'm saying? Because they were getting done dirty in other spots.
Oh yeah, Karaites. Those guys are interesting, along with Mizrahi.
Yeah, like the Karaites, like, I just want to deal with it with the Torah, no Talmud. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are doing too much.
Yeah, no additional text.
Yeah, y'all are doing way too much. No Torah, no Mishnah. You're doing too much.
Yeah, no Talmud, no Mishnah, no Gemara.
Man, I just ordered like the dopest book about like, oh man, Ahmed was on. I didn't talk to him about it, bro. Ahmed, I gotta get with you and talk to you about this, bro, sometime, because like it's funny watching my man Ahmed at Speaker's Corner, because like sometimes he'll be debating like Shamsi and them, but sometimes he'll be just debating just Somali people or whatnot, right? And so right now, what I'm noticing is like, so most Somalians that you run into are Shafi. Sunnis and whatnot. That's a school of jurisprudence.
Yeah, I've heard of them. It's one of the ways to approach Sharia.
Yeah, it's one of the four main schools of Sunni jurisprudence.
There's another one called Maliki.
Yeah, and then you got the Hanafi and then the Hanbali.
Yeah.
And so typically you're gonna find that a Somalis either are Shafi or some. Now there's like a rise of Salafi happening, right? But most of them are Shafi, right? And so historically, like in the first century of Islam and whatnot, like the first 2 centuries, there was a big beef about like, do we deal with the hadith or not? Do we recognize the hadith or not? And it was all based around the fitna of the Sahaba and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you want to hear something kind of funny?
Yeah,
I have a suspicion about when they started making that a bigger thing. And that was when, this is a conspiracy theory, of course. You have to take it with a grain of salt, but the House of Saud was not the ruling house in Saudi Arabia. What happened is there was British agents who came and they put the House of Saud in power.
Oh yeah, I'm talking way before that though. I'm talking like we're talking like 750.
And no, but I'm going somewhere interesting with this because I think they were the ones that created the idea that you can't lean on anything. You need that hadith collection. So they had to carry that giant collection of books everywhere they went.
Well, yeah, you were promoting the Wahhabi concept at that time.
Yeah, the people that were doing that were people who were used to the Talmud. I believe they were crypto Jews, just saying. But they were stuck to the Talmud idea, so they couldn't get rid of that. Mm-hmm. And all the things that are in the Talmud. So now they need, that's why they push the 9-year-old thing so hard, because they're Talmudic.
Facts. Man, people don't even understand. Like, so, yeah.
Talmudic, yes.
Yeah, the Talmud and the Quran. It's funny how it's funny like how the Torah and the Quran match up, and the Talmud and the Hadith match up, but the Talmud and the Torah don't match up, and the Hadith and the Quran don't match up.
Yeah, it's very suspicious.
It's bro, that trips me out every time I look at it. I'll be like, hold on, wait.
You see this picture I have in my profile, brother man?
Yes, sir.
That is a historical figure. You can even Wikipedia him. His name is Duddy Bookman. And he was a Haitian revolutionist around the time of 1804 against the French and the German, I believe. Mm-hmm. He was adopted from Jamaica into Haiti. And it was actually the oppressed people who actually gave him this name because of this thing he always carried around him, which is what you can kind of see hanging on the left side of the picture, which is the Quran. You don't see 7 other books hanging around All he had was the Quran.
Yeah, he didn't have a backpack with him with
Right, he
other
didn't have a
books.
backpack or a suitcase or.
I mean, that's
Oh,
that's
man.
kind of a telling thing, you know.
That's why I keep this picture. I keep this picture on
Well,
purpose.
I think it's cool, but I didn't know that. That's crazy.
I just see now. I understand where Little Man gets his name from. That's what's up.
Islam, yeah. The French they burnt they when they caught him finally, they set the book on fire to as a way, and they gave him the name Bookman, because he always carried this book around.
And they burnt it on him, didn't they?
Yeah, they burnt it on him. Yeah, they burnt it with him. Yeah, because he was that dedicated. Yeah.
Wow. See, a lot of people don't know about like the Muslims involved in like in the revolutions and the slave uprisings and whatnot. No, that's that. No, we got to build on that one day, bro. For real. For real.
Yeah, for the family out there, check out the documentary. It's called actually 1804 by Tariq Nasheed.
Okay.
1804, the Haitian Revolution. Very inspiring.
Okay.
Might even be a little small little tear jerk. Just keeping it real. It's a good documentary. It's good.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. That's a cool piece.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it inspired me to even attach one of the words to my son's name. It's very good.
That's what's up. Hey, so what did you think about the demonstration I did with Vegeta? I saw you got this. You made a comment on it or whatnot.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, just keep up the good work. Yeah, the intro and everything. That was good.
Yeah, I did that just for you, bro. Hold on, watch. I still got it. Hold on. No, Bernie dropped out. But yeah, with that family, I'm about to go grab some food and do some other things. Oh wait, Bernie came back in. There you go, brother, man.
I hit the mute button and it backed out, but that was good.
I had too much fun with that, bro. Like
Yeah,
I had Vegeta's pride like queued up in the background, but I was like, nah, that's doing too much. Let's put too much sauce on it. Let me just be chill right now.
Yeah, that little bit went a long way. That was good. Nothing else really to say. It's just Quran. Just that's what inspired me to even put that verse. That this Quran has, this in this Quran is every example. But man is the most argumentative. It reflects on you as an individual, on who you are. It shows you're an argumentative person. It shows you don't. You don't. Your heart is locked. Do you not ponder on the Quran? Have you not read it fully? Are you trying to please your wife? It breaks it down. But man is most argumentative. That's all we're dealing with, argumentative people.
Right, and see, this is what I was saying. Like, so the book I ordered is talking about this early argument in Islam and whatnot about like people confirming the Hadith or not. And there was literally a whole group of people called the Mutazilites who did not deal with the Hadith, right? And they were considered Sunni. They were Shafi and Hanafi, right? And so they eventually broke off, and like there was one of them named Ibrahim al-Nazm who made his own madhab. It was just strictly Quran, right? The Nazmiya madhab was just strictly Quran and in your own logic and no consensus concept. It was you, Allah, and the Quran. You know what I'm saying? And literally, like you had people like Shafi, like the dude who started the Shafi sect, writing books to refute these people. You know what I'm saying? It was a real big dispute at the time and whatnot. There was a lot of people that came out to even like so. Ibn Manazm literally wrote a book on his beliefs on Islam and whatnot. And you had people from all sides like writing books to refute him and whatnot. You can't find his book anymore, but you can find his writings in the books refuting him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
isn't that funny? They kept his works alive through their desire to put him out of business.
Facts, bro. Like that's what made me like drop my jaw to begin with. I was like, wow, I can only find his works in the refutations. I was like, okay, but you got the big name dudes in the game at the time, the big guns making the refutations. This wasn't no small conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because like elephants don't swat at flies. You're not going to see Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and them come down to a RIP of Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? But you're not going to see Michael Jordan and them like come through to the park and just play some scrubs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They play good
they're
competition.
not going to show up to the pickup game. Like, yeah, where's the competition?
Right. They want the best of the best, right? Hence in the NBA and whatnot, right? Like, so you're not going to see like Imam Shafi, like it just dealing with the with the scrubs or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? These are some serious arguments going on, and they were going on in Basra and whatnot. They were going on in where the in Baghdad, and where all like the actual big conversations of intellect were going on at the time and whatnot. And so this was a big conversation. And after the debate was done, there was like some fighting and wars that happened and whatnot. After the fighting was over, this is where you see this is where the Bukhari comes. Bukhari comes after this debate. You know what I'm saying? Because before this debate, you got people who weren't even recording hadiths, bruh. Because they thought it was against what the Prophet wanted to have happen, right? So there was times where but before they were collecting the hadiths, there was areas where they weren't even writing them down. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what's so funny about that? It almost reminds me of what happened with Buddhism. If you've ever read about the history of Buddhism, they came up with like whole books that didn't even exist in order to deal with issues that they found themselves in. Like, for example, in China, there was a sect called the Nestorians, which were Christians, and they taught that Jesus was the way to salvation and that through his name you'd be saved. But here's the funny thing. The Buddhists heard that, and they're like, we don't have anything like that. So they're like, we need to look and find something that we can use so we can, have that in our religion as well. So they went looking and they found, surprisingly, the Buddha Amitabha, which they dug up from somewhere. I think they made it up. And nowadays, people still believe in this. That's the power of when you make something up and people forget where it came from. Then they think it's like something legitimate. So I can spell that for you. It's Amitabha. The Japanese version is easier to remember. It's Amida, Amida. And that's the weird part. It got all the way to Japan, but yeah, that's another story. But they made that up because they had a need.
Now in China, bro. When the whole version of how they say Buddha be praised is Ami Tofu.
Yeah, Amitabha is the Chinese version of Amitabha Buddha.
Right.
And the funny thing is they created that to basically give themselves a savior. And and other things as well. They made up, that's the Mahayana, which is pretty much the Buddhist equivalent to Sunni Islam.
Hey, but real quick, I'm about to shut this down. I'm getting some hunger pains. I need to go satisfy right quick.
Yeah, I got to go eat some too. But
yeah, no worries.
I'll catch you later, and we can talk about a bunch of stuff, including the craziness of religion.
Sure, man.
Yeah. So shalom for now.
Shalom, Phil. So yeah, go check out my brother Bernie Bay at Ask Him More. And so Bernie, what's the name of your other page, your university page? Oh, Bernie might be playing daddy at the moment.
Oh yeah, I got one hanging on my ear. More Science University of Healing and Science. I just did a recent episode on I just called it Morse Psychology 101. How to diagnose, your companion devil as being the cause of all mental illnesses, including AIDS, which I'm going to be getting into in the future on how to cure AIDS. Using scripture, but Moore Science University of Healing and Science. Yep,
that's what's up, man. So with that, family, I hope y'all have a good one. I hope y'all enjoyed the information. I appreciate everyone for coming through and giving their wisdom and understanding and whatnot. So with that, I say peace.